Hey guys, hope everyone is doing wonderful. Listen, I'm gonna let you guys know one thing off the very top. We're fighting today. We are fighting. Now, it may not necessarily be the fight that you think it is, or maybe you've come to see, but I want to let you all know one thing. Some of you all know me, some of you don't. Some of you are kind of getting to know me. I don't think I'm a weak person. I'm certainly not scared of anyone, and I'm only beholden to, obviously, to my Lord, right? The person whose feelings I think about the most outside of God is going to be who? My wife, my family. I'm going to try to be honest and show some integrity to the scriptures, whether it is benefiting me or not. I don't have any friends outside of the gospel, meaning this, that if anyone is to be a friend of mine, they must actually be in the gospel. I've got some people who I like and who I'm good with, but I don't consider them necessarily friends because they don't follow the gospel like I do, meaning that they're not believers. We're cordial, but I don't trust them any farther than I can throw them. As a matter of fact, I don't trust any of you any farther than I can throw you. I don't trust myself any farther than I can throw myself. Why do I say that? Because I'm a person who is still struggling with sin. I'm a person who's got some faults, some issues. And so when I deal with someone else who also I may disagree with, I recognize this person also has some faults and issues just like me. So what I want to do before I kind of get into this is normally I pray before I come in. I pray that God will be glorified, that it's not about me, that I can maintain composure, and that when people see or hear what's happening on here, they'll see and hear what heaven wants to see or hear. So guys, for the first time, normally, like I said, I pray before we come on and then we just kind of jump into it. But this time, I want you all to pray with me, okay? Because there are going to be some people in here who think that my guest who's coming on, you all know who he is, that I should be fighting him. Listen, I'm either supposed to be fighting him or wanting to be fighting him. I don't like him or I should not like him. Well, newsflash, guys, it's going to hurt some people's heart, but I don't have a problem with Ruslan. Are there some things that I disagree with him? Sure. Do I have a problem with Alan Parr? Nope. Are there some things I disagree with him? Sure. I don't have a problem with any of you guys. Are there some things I disagree with? Sure. And so for that reason, I want us to see what the scriptures say. Now, if you know me, I hope you think that I will comport myself with the scriptures as best I can. I'm open to speaking with someone. So anyway, also, before we get into it, guys, I want you all to govern yourselves according to scripture, according to our Father. We're all supposed to be children we all supposed to have the same daddy. So we're going to act like it. Amen. So, Father, with that being said, we ask, Lord God, that you would just govern the chat, that you would govern this live stream, myself, as well as Ruslan. God, we pray that more than anything else, that you would be glorified, Father. It's not about me. It's not about him or anyone else. God, it's for your agenda. It's for you we serve, Lord God. And so we ask that you would get joy, that you would even crack a smile because of what we do and what we say. God, we desire, one, not to compromise, but also, Lord God, Father, to live in peace and in unity whenever possible. Father, so I ask that you would have your way in this video. I pray this, Lord, in your wonderful name. Amen. So, guys, you already know who my guest is, so let me go ahead and bring him on. Brother Ruslan, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Am I frozen? No, there we go. I'm good.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Apparently, somebody in the chat said that your biggest sin is that you're a Colts fan, Corey.
Well, that might be either a Giants fan or a Cowboys fan, and so I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I loose that spirit of Cowboy or Giant off of you. I'm pretty sure that's one of the two. It's either Giants fan or Cowboys fan. So
that's funny.
Okay, before we move forward, what's up with the background?
We're just trying some new things, man. We're trying. You know what, Corey? You told me that I had the best backdrop on YouTube. You told me this, and that really encouraged me. I was like, man, this is good. And so we're looking to slowly improve, upgrade, and just make investments back into what we're doing. The background is designed by the same software that does Mandalorian. And so we're just trying to make stuff interesting and just be excellent with what we're doing here.
Okay, cool. Somebody asked, where are you? You're in San Diego, correct?
San Marcos, California, North County, San Diego. It's a suburb in San Diego. Yes.
Okay. I got an old jail buddy there in San Diego. So,
what part?
I'm not sure, because once he left the prison, we had talked, and then all of a sudden communication stopped. Matter of fact, what happened was the prison went on lockdown. Goofy story. Went on lockdown. He changed his address, and we weren't able to get any mail. They changed the color of envelopes. He was sending envelopes in different color. We couldn't get anything that was that had any color, any sort of, because people were sending in drugs through the mail, and so I lost contact with him. And I've been trying to get a hold of him through other people, and so real good guy. His name is we call him J-Rod. I forgot his first name. James Rodriguez. I'm sorry. Gotcha. My mind went blank. But anyway, guys, you already know there's an issue in the YouTube sphere. And let me just say this, guys, so you all know, I'm stepping on toes today. I'm stepping on everybody's toes, including myself. I'm going to step on Ruslan's toes. I'm going to step on you guys' chats in the toes, the folks who are going to watch this later. I pray this. See, here's what I think, Ruslan. I think that if I can use the scriptures only to cut, but never to heal, never to build up, then I'm not worthy of the scriptures. And so I want to do that. And granted, I've done things the wrong way. I've said some things the wrong way. There have been some times where I have, people have sent me comments or emails, and I kind of wanted to get back. You know how it is, because we're men. And I want to kind of get back at them. And if you know my background, not the prison background as bad as it is, but from where I was before, the growing up part. Listen, I grew up in some rough spots with some rough people, and we mean what we say and say what we mean. And there were times because what do we do as men? When someone says something, I'm going to get back at you. But I noticed something, and you guys, see if you can see this. Tell me if you noticed this before, Ruslan. This YouTube dilemma that we have, I'm for this YouTuber, this Christian YouTuber. I'm for that Christian YouTuber. I'm for this one, I'm for that one. Everybody at some point in time is going to say something incorrectly, right? A lady got all over me because I said some things that kind of made it seem like the folks in Africa, they're just all dumb and backwards, right? And I had, you know what, I'm sorry, because looking back at it, I did. I made you guys look bad. And so sometimes you got to be humble enough to say, yeah, I'm wrong, right? And so here's the YouTube dilemma. You ready? All right, guys, you out there, get your shoes, get your Get some medication for your shoes. I'm about to step on your feet. We've got the Seiko Woods, the Alan Parrs, the Ruslan, the James White, the Leighton Flowers, the K.W. True, the Proverbial Lives, the A.D. Robles, and so on and so forth. We got all these guys who have their own feelings about things, and sometimes we do what? We butt heads. Now, I can rattle off a few more names as well, a bunch of names, some really large channels, some small channels, and some in between. When we see the fights, the discord that we have happening, have you noticed, Ruslan, that it's typically all males?
That's interesting. I mean, it is a male dominated space, but yes, I think that's a solid observation on your part.
We don't see Alyssa Childress and Doreen Virtue going at each other, right? And so maybe that has something to do with how we're made up, right? And we want to be, because let's be honest, guys, ladies, y'all can go ahead and turn the volume down a little bit. I'm just gonna talk to men for a second. We are insecure creatures. We really are. We want people to see us a certain way. And so we act the way we think people ought to see us. And then we'll come back and say, well, I don't care what you think. Well, yeah, you do. Because people who say, I don't care what you think, they care what you think, or else you wouldn't say it. And so I think our testosterone, our pride comes up in how we deal with people, right? Yeah. And so,
let me ask you a question, Corey.
Go ahead.
When you've misstepped and maybe said something, how did you course correct that?
Well, I did what everyone else did.
I've taken down videos before. I've corrected myself and like I've tried to clip stuff out of videos, and I've corrected myself in future streams. But like, there's a video from 14 months ago that like I thought I took down, and Montana Viking pointed out to me that it was still on my Facebook, the stuff that I was just wrong on. And I said I was wrong, and I tried to remove it and clean it up, and I just didn't. But when you misspeak, when you're wrong in something, do you think we're required to make a correction video, or do we just say, man, I dropped the ball here, I'm gonna keep it moving in the next stream? How do you usually course correct that? Because I think that's a good question for a lot of us.
See, me, I don't make any mistakes on YouTube, and so you know what? I've taken down videos. The ones that I've taken down, I don't think that I was necessarily incorrect, but it was probably a little harsh in how I portrayed those videos. I took down two. One on race, and it was kind of impugning one other person. I won't say who this guy is, and I said, you know what? I disagree with his take, but let me just take that down just because I'm cool with the guy. I actually took down one on you because you know what? Yeah. Let me just pull that down. Now I've got a video where. No, two videos, I believe, where I have a clip of Ruslan in it, where I disagree with Ruslan. Typically, oftentimes, my wife is the first one to correct me. So, what are you going to do? The first thing you do when she says something that, you disagree, that hey, I would have done this, then what do you have to do? I gotta, yeah, honey, I agree, but then I'm walking away. No, she don't know what she's talking about, And then I think about it, I go back and look at it. Okay, yeah, you know what? You're right. But if you make a mistake on YouTube, if you say something, I think you should do two things. I think you should let people know publicly. I had an issue with Leighton Flowers, with something that not in the video, but I mentioned that he had blocked me. He had made some comments. I did a rebuttal video, and that he did not refute this video. And his response was to block me and to delete my comments, and in his comments as well on my channel. He did come back and say that that it wasn't him, or it may have been one of his moderators, what have you. I said, okay, you know what, fine. So I came back on the next day or the day after that and told the people, you know what, guys, this is what happened with Leighton, and it's what he said. So I won't say that anymore. Okay, and I didn't make a video stating that, but I wanted to stick that on video. And so I think it's incumbent upon us, if we make a mistake and we say something on YouTube and we realize we're wrong, well, other folks ought to realize we're wrong too. That's where humility comes in. And so if I've said something, and there probably are some videos I may need to take down that I may need to go back and look at, because I don't know about you. I got over I know you've got a lot more videos than I do. I've got over 230 something videos. I don't remember what I said last week.
Yeah.
And so
and it's such a new platform and way to share Bible studies and information, and how much stuff are you saying off the cuff? How much stuff are you prepped for? You have notes for, right? So I think there's such a wide spectrum. And you just bantering with the crowd and, you know, the chat, and then somebody screen grab. There's so many different things that that could happen with this whole entire under like this new format, I think, of YouTube, that I do think that it's, you know, I don't know. I think a lot of us do it. I've done it. I've taken videos down. I've corrected before. I think the issue is sometimes the corrections don't always get seen. You know what I mean? When you say something and then the correction isn't seen, and then it's like, well, you said this, and it's like, man, that was a while ago, or I like legit misspoke. You know. So anyway, we can get into any of that stuff right now. I don't want to ask.
Oh no. Well,
conduct of Christians on YouTube.
First of all, because I like what you said. If Christians say something incorrect, Christians fight. Somebody in the fight, in the disagreement, is wrong. At least one person. Now, it may be that both are wrong. But if you feel like first of all, if you're not, if you're above being wrong, then I'm going to have to question your walk with Christ. I really am. Because if you think that you don't make a mistake, if you don't fumble, if you don't fail, you don't fall, then you have no need of Christ. And if you have no need of Christ, then he is not your savior. So I think you ought to be at a position to where you're at least open to being wrong.
Yeah.
Which is why, for me, people have asked me, will I rebuke this person? Again, guys, I'm going to touch on some things that might make some folks uncomfortable. Somebody asked me with the whole, let me just go ahead and bring this out, with the whole Marcus Rogers and Seiko Woods deal. Some folks liked the way Seiko handled it. Some folks didn't. Well, people know that I'm cool with Seiko. So wait a minute, Corey, I didn't like the way that Seiko handled it. So since he handled it that way, and I'm upset with him, then what about you? Okay, here's the thing, guys. We're not 5 years old. We're not in kindergarten. It's not, hey, I don't like Bobby, and so you can't like Bobby too. We don't do that. Okay, that's not how this thing works. If you got an issue with Bobby, what you don't do is go find someone else to be mad at Bobby with you. Now, what I've said, and I mean this, if I got an issue with, again, we'll use Seiko, and I believe he's in the chat, but if I got an issue with Seiko, and he'll verify this, I'll talk with Seiko. I'm not going to talk to say about Seiko to you guys. Okay, I try to keep things on doctrine. So someone said, well, hey, I think that he is this or that. I said, well, if it's an issue of style, then that's something else. But if it's an issue of sin, then I've got to say something about it, or whatever. But what I'm going to do is I am going to speak to him. That's one of the things what we ought to do. If I've got your number, and what's happening lately is we are, and let's just be honest. Satan does try to have his way with us as believers too, and if he can get us going at each other, then he will. And a lot of times we do. Just like he gets us going at each other with family members, me against my brother, my cousin, my aunt, what have you. And so I'm going to try to err on not doing that. But you all know me. I don't have a problem swinging. I don't have a problem swinging at all. But I have swung a lot in the past and connected with the wrong person or with the wrong motives. And let me just say this. I might. I've been in a position, guys, and you know a little bit about this story, Ruslan. I've been in a position where there was a lot expected of me, and I've had a high position in the church and in business and in the community, and I failed. Rather than holding up my end of the bargain, living up to where I should have lived up to, I was a disappointment. I let down my wife. I let down my children. More than that, I let down God. And so I'm not the kind of person, I'm trying to hold back. I almost cried right now. I'm trying not to. I'm not the kind of person who is going to assume that when someone else does something wrong, it's because of bad motive. Sometimes you can do stuff and it's not your intent, but then you kind of it's like walking fast down a hill. You can't stop yourself. And so I want to afford the same level of grace to someone that God affords me. Now, does that mean that I should compromise on, if a person is in open sin, that I'm going to show them grace and let them pass on the sin? No, but it's how I deal with them. We're going to get into that in just a little bit. But I want to ask you some questions.
Sure.
Because you and I had a conversation before about And I think this is something that people ought to know about you. We had a conversation. I said, rightly or wrongly, fair or unfair, this is how people see Ruslan. And then what you told me, and I'd like for you to share with other people, is who you're trying to talk to, kind of your audience, what you're trying to accomplish when you talk to people. And so I want you to go ahead and share with the people kind of what you told me. I don't know if you remember the conversation about 2 months ago.
I do. I vaguely remember. We've had quite a few conversations, so I don't remember the particular details of each one. But I do remember talking, and there is something we are attempting to do that's a bit different with regards to speaking to people who are on the fringes, who are not Christians, who are maybe on the further end of the extreme in terms of like really out there, and attempting to kind of pull them back into some orthodoxy and orthopraxy with regards to that. And I think sometimes when I'll make a video and I'll play devil's advocate, the assumption is always that's his position, that's what he's representing with a specific video, when a lot of times it's I'll legitimately be sitting here talking to my non-Christian friends about an issue or trying to better understand what somebody's position is. And when I'm articulating the opposite view in a video, which is creating tension and is good storytelling, people assume that like that's Ruslan's position, he's fill in the blank. And I don't always get it right. I mean, I probably get it wrong a lot, but I think that's the difference in that. I think certain channels exist to just teach the Bible to people. Certain channels exist to teach people the Bible. Well, what I'm doing is probably a little bit different, where I'm speaking to more of a postmodern audience, a lot of which is not Christian, a lot of which may be really struggling with certain issues, and trying to reel them back into orthodoxy. And that may not make sense to someone that's like, why are you not just preaching the Bible, or why aren't you calling out more people on this thing? Why is this thing not, And so that's never been my that's never been the point. I've always had the heart to reach people far from God. That's always been why I've made music, why I've made art, right? To make it palatable for people that don't know God, and to pull them. And that's the format of the videos. Like, people see the videos, and I'm going to comment on stuff that's trending in culture, not necessarily a Bible study on stuff. Now, and to be fair, when I have, that's when I usually get myself in trouble. When I go into a theological matter, sometimes that's where I don't have a camp. Like, I'm not the Calvinist guy. I'm not that, right? Like, I don't have a singular systematic theology. I've been all the above. I respect all the above. I've had some experiences that I don't think were always helpful across the board with all camps, like negative experiences with all camps. And so I think that's probably where people are like, man, some of these things, you're wrong on Calvinism, or you're wrong on this. And then I'll attempt to try and bring on a Calvinist, and let them explain it. And they'll be like, oh, well, he's not good enough as a Calvinist. Like, he has this issue over here with his other views, So I think that's the thing is like, I'm not trying to be about theology on here as much as I'm trying to stay within the confines of orthodoxy, of what is the essential historical scriptural non-essentials, fundamentals of the faith, while at the same time reaching people that are far from God.
Okay. In the way we do things, and there are several content creators on the chat right now, and there are going to be several more that's going to watch us later. Every last one of us have the same thing in common. There's going to be some criticism in the comment section of every video, right? So there's always somebody that disagrees with what we said or saying. Matter of fact, there's some people that they don't disagree with what we just said. They just disagree with us and our existence, right? Sure. Yep. You are a heretic. You're of the devil, and so forth. And so, all right, I tell you what, I got some time on this live stream. Come on, tell me why. Man, most of them won't. But the issue,
as do I, by the way. We open up the Patreon Zoom call twice a week, and people do call in and will challenge me on stuff from time to time. So that's not something that I don't do.
Yeah. Now, let's say when I deal with somebody, now I'm going to share with you guys in just a second, but I want to ask Ruslan this, and I want you guys to be thinking about this. And then, like I said, I'm getting ready to bowl down the live stream chats alley. Okay. So I know and I see there are a lot of comments. We're going to see what your comments sound like in just a second. Okay. Now, if you know me, you ought to know one thing that I believe. I think I'm pretty solid when it comes to the word. I may not be the best out there, but I think I can handle myself. And again, I'm also not afraid. So far, I've not compromised on anything, and God has blessed me. So guess what I'm going to continue to do? What I think I should do. However, I need to be convinced that it's the right thing, but I want to do it in a certain attitude. Now, when I come across somebody, and here's a question for you, Ruslan, and everyone else we think about in the chat. When I come across somebody who I think is in error, mm-hmm. how do you think you ought to deal with someone who is in error?
I think it's full of grace and truth, right? Mm-hmm. John 1, Jesus comes full of grace and truth. So I think all our words need to be seasoned with grace and truth. I think we need to be truthful. I think we need to be honest. I think we need to be direct. At the same time, I think we need to be gracious with where people are at and what they're dealing with. So I think it's a and both. I don't think it's an either or. And I think where someone is, they can kind of go to mm-hmm. one extreme of the spectrum or the other one. It's just about truth. And there's seldom grace. And I don't mean grace as in like giving the person grace. I mean seldom grace in tone, mercy in tone, in the way the arguments are presented, straw manning somebody's argument, misrepresenting. I think that happens way too often. And I think that's one of the least charitable and gracious things you can do when disagreeing with something. So I think you got to come full of grace and truth.
Okay. See, I think the first thing we ought to do is, one, figure out who we're talking to. If I'm talking to an unbeliever mm-hmm. versus talking to a believer, there's going to be some differences. And the person's character as well is going to determine kind of my tone and what I say. Here's what I mean. If I'm talking to a brother, I'm never going to treat the brother as though he's a non-believer, right? We have the same daddy, we eat at the same dinner table. So I'm not going to treat him. For example, I won't treat Joe Bob the Christian like Frank the heretic. Mm-hmm. If Frank the heretic is a heretic, I'm going to reach out and so forth. But if he's going to continue to be a heretic, I have no problem with bringing out the knife and go to cutting, slicing, and dicing. Mm-hmm. There is a part to play for people to be more cordial. There's a part to play for people who are going to be more hard-handed, right? There's the hammer. There's the nail, there's the sandpaper, there's the table. We all play different parts. And so this brother over here might be a little bit more stronger in his tone. This brother over here might be a little bit more forgiving in his tone. The question is going to be, well, which one should it be? And it's not the same all the time, because if you have the exact same tact with everybody all the time, then I can promise you, you're doing it wrong. Yep. You know how I know? Because Jesus didn't have the exact same tact with everyone who was either in sin or not. And so this is the hard part. This is the conundrum of a Christian. Mm-hmm. When to be a lion and when to be a lamb. Mm. It's just difficult, because I want to be loving. I want to be strong when it comes to doctrine, and I want to be loving, but I also want to be wise. Mm-hmm. And let's just be honest, we all mess up. We all sometimes get them crossed. And so there are times in the Bible where we see this happening. So guys, I want to go there, and I want to look up some scriptures first, just so we can have a kind of a place where we can start off right. So let me go to Galatians 6:1. Let me move this out of the way. And I'm in the wrong spot. There it is. So it says, brother, if any of you is caught in a transgression. Now, this word for transgression is not necessarily a sin. Mm-hmm. Okay? I want to make it clear. This word for transgression here is not necessarily a sin, but something that they might be doing not necessarily the correct way. Whoever it is, though, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness. Keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. So, mm-hmm. Why is that important? Because at some point in time, it might be you who needs to be restored. It might be you. And so I'm open to criticism. Somebody's going to tell me after this is over with that, Corey, you had this guy, Ruslan, on the line, and you didn't give it to him. And so my statement is going to be to anyone, what should I give him? Should I say, hey, Ruslan, why are you now? I think there have been times. Let me just say this. I think there have been times where there are some guys that have been on your channel that I probably would have gone harder at, and that I wish that you would have gone harder at. But then again, you have an inroad to them, and so maybe you could speak to them. See, I can't. You can call up XYZ. Mm-hmm. I can't, right? Now, I'm not saying this person XYZ is actual heretic, right?
Mm-hmm.
This guy is just, he believes differently. Maybe he's Pentecostal, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on record saying that I don't think that Pentecostals are not Christians. There are a bunch of Christian folks who are Pentecostal charismatic who love the Lord. Matter of fact, their doctrine I think is wrong, but their heart is right. Versus I know some people who have the right doctrine but have no heart, right? So you're in a better position than, let's say, the other person, right? But also the person who would rather swing a little harder than let's say, Ruslan is in another position. And so I think that Paul is writing this. Paul is not writing this letter, guys, to the non-believer. He's writing this letter to us. Mm-hmm. He's writing this letter to us how we should treat people, because we want to be the first thing. When I fell in sin, you know what I wanted more than anything else, Ruslan? I wanted folks to forgive me quickly. I wanted, man, all right, fine, I get it. And there were some guys, the older pastors were coming at me heavy-handed. And so there is a time where you got to pound them. Right. But if the intent of the pounding isn't to build me up and to bring me around, then now all you're doing is just beating up on me. And there were some folks there that they were beating up on me. And they were so happy that I lost the business. They were so happy that I left the church. They were so happy that my house got foreclosed on and the repossession of the cars. They were so happy when I went to prison. They were so happy. Fast forward several years later, I'm out. Hey, brother, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Man, you doing good. Okay, yeah, you're right. Hey, how you doing? Is everything all right? I'm gonna act as though they didn't say what they said. I'm gonna act as though I didn't read their emails and their texts, what they were saying about me. But at that time, I wanted some love, right? Because at the time, I didn't know that I was jacked up. Didn't know it at all. Until God brought me down to face myself. Somebody's got to be there, right? Somebody's got to be there to face you. And so, while there were the folks who helped to knock me down, who meant well, hit me hard, I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for he's passed away, but my brother Antrim, who gave it to me straight. He told me a couple of times, he said, "Shut up, Corey, shut up." Matter of fact, one time he said, "Corey, shut the hell up. You are talking too much. You trying to defend yourself. You wrong. You in sin. And you just want somebody to hug you. No, shut up." And he had me crying, but I knew he meant well. I knew he loved me.
Yeah, it's good.
But now there was other folks who were telling me to shut up, who I know didn't have my best interest at heart. And so I think you can swing hard as long as folks know that the other hand is also there to help you up once they knock you down, right? And so before I go, just kind of what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's good, man. I think I'm sure those people who, in hindsight, swung hard, you probably appreciated something like you just mentioned. And I'm sure you also appreciated those folks that were down there with you in the trenches when you had hit rock bottom. I remember there was a close friend of mine. I'm talking close, like we go back 9th grade. This happened twice, unfortunately. And he was supposed to take me out on my birthday, and he called me on my birthday and he said, "Hey, I'll take you out on your birthday. We're gonna go see a movie." And then he didn't call me. His wife calls me and says, "Hey, so-and-so is getting ready to leave me." And I was like, "What?" So I like run over there. I'm like, "What is going on?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm leaving my wife. I'm over it. I'm going to divorce." I was like, "What do you, like, you can't do that." So I ended up taking him out to dinner. And I'm having this conversation with him, and he's just like, "Yeah, like I'm done. I don't feel like this is going to work. I'm done." I'm like, "Bro, you have no grounds for divorce. You have no grounds for divorce." And I ended up being the very stern voice in his life. And he ended up getting disfellowship from our church, kicked out of the church. The elders sat him down, kicked him out of the church. And there were other brothers around that I was really irritated with that kept hanging out, that kept being around him, that kept going bowling with him and playing poker with him. And I felt like they were enabling that. Like, yo, you're like, this 1 Corinthians chapter 5, like, this dude is unrepentant. This is how they should play out. This is how church discipline plays out. Long story short, he ended up leaving his wife. His wife got remarried. He got remarried. And he calls me 4 years later. And I was the bad guy. Like, in my community, I was the bad guy for being like, "No, this is out of pocket. You can't just divorce your wife because you feel like it. there's no grounds. This is not okay. And he called me, and Corey, he told me, he said, he said, man, I'm sorry. I have to apologize to you because I put you in an impossible situation. And it costed me a friendship, and it costed, there's tension in my community because there's certain things I just won't tolerate within the confines of someone who claims to be a believer, and that's one of them. Like someone that's just flippantly leaving their wife because they feel like it. That's a 1 Corinthians chapter 5 issue, and so I'm sure he also appreciated those brothers that were still by his side, even though I thought in hindsight, I still believe like, yo, you're out of pocket, right? You're coddling him. You're not being honest with him. You're not pulling a Band-Aid off and rebuking him and telling him like, bro, you're in sin. And then, he's gotten remarried. It's weird how those types of things work out. But I hear you, and I've been through those types of situations, and they suck, man. Like they're not pleasant to be in. They're not pleasant to be the good guy or the bad guy in those types of situations.
Yeah. What I think matters, obviously, I believe wholeheartedly and strongly about doctrine. I really do. I think doctrine matters, doctrine matters, doctrine matters. And again, chats, I'm coming your way in a second. And I'm open later on, who knows, after, because Ruslan's got to run afterwards. But I may open this up to you guys. And if I do, I want now. Let me just say this in my older, stern voice. If you got a critique about what I'm saying, you better hope that your critique can counter what I'm going to say. If you think I don't know the Bible, I'm going to give you some scriptures. And these scriptures are to you. Because oftentimes, worse than the YouTubers fighting back and forth are the people in the chats fighting back and forth. As though God only cares about the people who put together the content and not the folks in the comment section talking. No, God's going to deal with you. And if the grace that you want when you do fall or when you mess up, if that's not the grace that you're giving, you won't get it from him. I want you all to remember that. Again, I've made my statements, and when I had an issue, and I said it to Ruslan. If I had an issue, let's say with Seiko, I said to Seiko. If I had an issue with Bottom Line Dads on here, I said it to him. I called him up. I don't have a problem with talking. Let me say it in my Bernie Mac voice. I ain't scared of any of you. I love you all. And I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. Matter of fact, let's go to the scriptures. But before I go to this particular passage, I want you all to remember this. Two brothers in the Lord who we know about, Paul and Barnabas, had an issue about another brother. Paul had a serious issue with Barnabas. Thought he was too weak. Now, Barnabas, his name means encouragement. And Barnabas wants to encourage other folks. Paul like, no, heck no. Forget him. Yeah, he probably ain't even saved. Now, we know his tone changed because later on, when Paul is at his death, who does Paul ask for? He asked for Barnabas. I mean, for John Mark, doesn't he? And we've got a book in the Bible bearing his name. So who was right and who was wrong? Well, they both may have been right. They both may have been wrong. We do know that Paul was probably a little too tough on John Mark. Barnabas, or maybe his toughness caused John Mark to kind of look at some things. But we know that Barnabas's encouragement also helped to shape him. We've got a letter in the Bible bearing his name. But I want to look at something not on John Mark, but about what Paul is saying to us. And so I want to go to Romans chapter 14. Chapter 14, verse 1. Can you see that, Ruslan?
I can't, if I'm honest with you. I got the video pulled up here, so I'm going to look down while you're reading it.
Okay.
Or if you want to tell me what verse it's in, I could pull it up. So it's
chapter 14, verse 1, starting in Romans.
Let me pull it up. It's too small. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up on this screen.
And I'm going to try to read it in my best presenter's voice.
Are you in the ESV or the
ESV?
ESV. Okay.
The ESV.
Where is he? Okay, here we go. 14. Romans 14:1. Okay, go for it.
As for the one who is weak in faith, well, for many of you guys, you're going to feel like that's not you. So you're the one who's strong in faith. So he's writing to you. How do you treat the person who's weak in faith? He says, welcome him, but not to quarrel over opinions. One person believes he may eat anything, while the weak person eats only vegetables. Let not the one who eats despise the one who abstains, and let not the one who abstains pass judgment on the one who eats, for God has welcomed him. What he's talking about is not a sin, but more style, how we do things. And so when someone says, why don't you get on this brother for his sharp tone, his sharp rebuke? The same reason I don't get on this brother for his more loving rebuke, or for his more cordial tone. Because if I choose this side and this side is right and that side that I chose is wrong, then I'm in trouble, right? And so someone asked me, what am I going to do about so-and-so? I'm going to sit back and watch, because I don't know what God is doing. God might be using this person to hammer this person down. He may at the same time be using this other person to kind of build this person up, because if he's knocked down and if he comes face to face with the Lord, who's he going to turn to? And so let me keep reading. He says, one person esteems one day as better than another, while another esteems all days alike. Each one should, listen what he says, each one should be fully convinced in his own mind. So you better be convinced about what you're doing and really why you're doing it. Verse 6, the one who observes the day observes it in honor of the Lord. The one who eats in honor of the Lord, since he gives thanks to God, while the one who abstains in honor of the Lord and gives thanks. Now, obviously, somebody isn't doing something correct. Obviously, what God knows about us is, though, even though we might be trying to do our best, we're going to mess up. We're going to screw up a lot. And I do mean a lot. And so let's continue. He says, none of us lives to himself, and none of us dies to himself. For if we live to the Lord. And if we die to the Lord. So then whether we live or whether we die, we are the Lord's. For to this end Christ died and lived again, that he might be Lord both of the dead and the living. Now, I want to pause there for a second, but his point is this. First of all, you better be sure about what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. That's number one. And what you also ought to do is remember the person who might not be doing it your way. Okay? Now, would I love to see, let's say, Ruslan or Alan Parr or anyone else do things the way that Corey Minor would do? Yeah, I think Ruslan should do everything the way I want him to do. I think Seiko Wood should do everything the way I want him to do. I think Bottom Line Dad and Montana Vikings should do everything the way I want them to do. I really do. Now, would that be stupid? Sure, it would be. It absolutely would be. And I'm pretty sure that they all wish that I would do things the way they would do it. That's just how it is. Guys, y'all realize that God chose a bunch of idiots to be saved? He didn't choose the geniuses. He chose us, right? He chose the hypocrites. He chose the backstabbers. He chose the liars. He chose the weak. He chose the strong. He even chose some folks who are unforgiving and folks who are too forgiving, and some folks in between. That's what he's done. And so for me, let me say this for you guys who are the, I'm going to use him because he's strong to handle it. For you guys who are the Seiko Woods hater, I am fully convinced that God is using him on some things. Do I believe that everything that Seiko says out of his mouth is what I would say? No, I've talked to Seiko. Again, I'm not going to share with you guys what I've said. I've told Seiko that I've talked to this other guy. I told the other guy I talked to Seiko. I don't tell him what I talk about, because I think what's wrong, Ruslan, the reason why I brought this issue that we are, it's majority of men who are involved in this. Mm-hmm. I think we've lost how to become men, how to be men, myself included. You know what I had to catch myself on doing? And it's out there. I'm guilty of it. So I'm not saying if you've done this that I'm calling you out, I'm calling me out as well. I just found out what the term beta male is. I did. I've been under a rock. I just found out 2 weeks ago what red pill is. And I still don't know.
Beta.
Yeah. Matter of fact, listen, I just found out, I think I found out what the word meme means. So
okay,
I'm following this stuff, right? But my point is, I just found out what beta male is a little while ago, and I've used it, and then I had to get myself. Corey, what grown man calls another man or challenges another man on his manhood? See, I've been some places where you challenge a man on his manhood, you better be ready to go in his mouth because he's going in yours. Because there's no need. I don't have to say, man, Ruslan is weak. First of all, if he is weak, then me telling him ain't gonna make him realize it. But what if I'm wrong? And Ruslan, let's say what I'm saying about Ruslan. Ruslan really is a child of God. Now, if he's not a child of God, then, well, first of all, if he ain't a child of God, I'm still wrong because I'm supposed to treat him a certain way. But if he is a child of God, then now I am attacking a child of God. So I don't want to do that. And I think us as men, we are leading the fight in the wrong direction sometimes. I do. Matter of fact, here's a brother of mine who who was there in prison with me. It gets rough in prison sometimes. But how you compose yourself, how you handle yourself, I think it goes a long way, because now you can talk to somebody who, there's some rough guys in prison, Ruslan. There's some rough guys out there who will sooner kill you, and how you deal with them. I want to see their souls saved. I want to see them come to Christ.
Amen.
And I'm not, now, I've had some times where I had to go off on some guys too. Man, you know you're going to hell, right? Who are you talking to? I'm talking to you. You the one going to hell? What? Yeah, listen, if you're going to live the way you're living and you don't want to make, if Christ is not your Lord, you're going to hell. Well, because he knew I also loved him too, he'll listen to that. So I can be, there's a balance to where I can punch you and then rub you at the same time. I don't mean rub you in kind of in a, I should have used that word.
Pause.
Yeah. I can be harsh and helping at the same time.
Yep. So, as it should be, I think we should all be in that regard, you know, where, hey man, like, I saw this, I heard this, is this good? Is this helpful? What were you thinking? And I think without saying specific details, I think Corey, me and you both do that probably behind the scenes, that, you know, that doesn't need to be publicly stated, you know, when that does happen behind the scenes. And it does happen behind the scenes. And people do it to me, by the way, behind the scenes, and sometimes not so much behind the scenes. Yeah. And I think sometimes it's valid. Like sometimes it's valid.
Can I tell you something that my wife helped me with you?
Sure.
Check this out. Guys, y'all, let me just say this. This is not being messy, but the first time that me and Ruslan had interaction, I got blocked because it was over something about social justice stuff, right? And so we probably still disagree on that stuff. And this is what my wife said, because I'm upset. I'm bothered. What? She said, Ruslan, how old are you? You 36, 37? Huh?
Yeah. 37.
Okay. So here's Ruslan, 13, 14, 15 years younger than me, right? A few years older, you are 5, 6 years older than my daughter. And she said, well, Corey, first of all, he's not going to see things the way you are because you're different people, but also maybe what he sees things from the eyes of a 30-something-year-old, just like your daughter. Thought about that for a second. I thought, you know what? Yeah, because the group of people that I have the most problems with, some of you older folks in the chat might understand this too, are the 30-somethings. Why? Because when you're in your 30s, you know a whole lot more than you knew in your 20s, right? Well, when you get in your 40s and 50s, you realize that, dog, I was still kind of messing up in my 30s, but I started the old saying, youth is wasted on the young. It's true. You spend all your youth trying to realize what you think you know, and then when you get older, you realize I didn't know anything in the first place. And so, a lot of times, the tension that I would have even myself with 30-somethings, and I noticed the people who I've had the bigger issues with have been in their 30s. The guy that whose name shall remain nameless, guys, that everyone he's the flavor of the month right now. He's in his 30s. Now, I think he's a heretic. I think that he is doing the gospel a disservice, and I think everything that he's got coming at him, every attack, I think he's earned that. I really do. I think he is a horrible representative of the gospel because he's not representing the gospel. That being said, I would love to see him come to Christ. I would. I think Alan Parr missed an opportunity to get him. Am I going to condemn Alan for that? Nope. You want to know why? I said this before. It's not a secret. The reason why is because Alan is a professed brother. And so I can't treat him like I would treat, let's say, Marcus Rogers or Benny Hinn or Creflo Dollar. Can't do that. Why? Because we're on the same team. I can say, hey, Alan, I wish you would do this. Matter of fact, in the video that I did on tongues that you and I talked about, Alan, you messed up right there on this issue of tongues. You should know better, but you're still my brother. Same with Ruslan. Same with anyone else. And so, but I could be wrong. I want to read another passage. I think this is, where's it at? Oh, here we go. I want to read, this is for you guys also in the chats. And I said I'm coming your way in a second. So here I come. It says, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility, count others more significant than yourself. Let each of you not look only on his own interest, but also the interest of others. When you guys are in this chat right now, let me just put this on me for a second. You guys who are in this chat right now, there's some folks that are Team Ruslan. There are some folks that are folks that are Team Corey. Maybe there's some folks that are Team anti-Ruslan. Are you fulfilling? Let me put it back on the screen. Are you fulfilling what the Bible is saying here? Let me read it again. Do nothing from selfish ambition, including your comments or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. You folks who think I ought to be going at Ruslan, are you counting Ruslan more significant than yourself? I want you to ask yourself that question, because if you're not, shame on you. You're just wrong. Ain't no question about it. Ruslan, I wouldn't do it that way. So because you did it the way I didn't do it, or I wouldn't do it, you should go to hell for that. Wait a second. Hold up. Wait a second. Because the writing here in Philippians is to me. Let each of you look not only on his own interest, but also the interest of others. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ. Now we all know where he's going with this, whatever. But I think, guys, we got a problem. We've got to figure out, Ruslan. I didn't mean to put you up there, but we got to figure out a way to handle our issues differently. Not so quick to jump the gun to knock a brother down, but also, now let me say this as well. We also need to make sure that we are known that we stand for the truth. And if you go against the truth, we're not going to stand for that. If you are compromising in the gospel, not going to stand for that. If you are not defending the gospel, not going to stand for that either. Especially because if you are a brother of mine, I hold you in higher esteem. I think you know better. Like, I used to get my brother whoopings. How'd I do that? Because I would do certain things that he was held responsible for. Because my mother said, well, you knew better. He didn't. He's your little brother. You know better. Now, me being devious, I would do stuff and just so he can get in trouble. I love watching my brother Chris, who was an idiot, by the way, guys, get a whooping for something I did. I don't know why it just brought me a smile on my face back then.
That made you real happy just thinking of reminiscing right there.
Thinking about it. Matter of fact, I hope he watches this video. Yeah, Chris, you got about 8 whoopings that I can think of because of me. So praise God. But that's not how we should be with our own brothers. I'm not going to stand for you to behave a certain way when I expect you. You say you are, especially if you're a Christian content creator, you are putting out content and you should know better. And if you don't know better, let me show you better. And if you don't want to listen to me show you better, then let God do you better. That's what's going to happen. And so I might next week, who knows? I might do a video on Ruslan next week. I might do one on one of y'all. By the way, a lot of times I do videos on some stuff that you guys say, but it hurts my heart, Ruslan. It really does. Let me bowl down some of these lanes. I'm trying to see. The chess champ, Mr. K, Dinah, Jarena, Will, who else? Needland, KL, Basic, all you guys. It bothers me that we cannot get along better than what we do, the way we do. It really bothers me, even if the person, because you know what, I'm starting to realize how much easier it is to get a hold of certain people. And so not everybody I can get a hold of. I can't. But those who I can get a hold of, I'll talk to. I tried to get a hold of Marcus Rogers. I did. He ain't gonna talk to me. Okay, cool. And if you have an issue with doctrine, I'm gonna talk about your doctrine. I'm gonna talk about your doctrine because your doctrine is about my beliefs, and so it's fair game. There's some alleys I won't go down. I'm not saying that no one should go down those alleys, but whatever you're doing, however you're prosecuting the devil and whoever's being used by the devil, amen. As long as your motives are right. And as long as you are biblically based in doing so, I can't trip. I really can't. So, go ahead before I continue, Ruslan. Listen. I can talk. So
I'm letting you rock, man. No, this is good. I think I don't know, Corey. I think as we all have our natural slants and biases towards what we deem as the utmost of utmost importance, right? And I think obviously the fundamentals of the faith, of doctrines of the faith are important. You know, Jesus being God, salvation by grace through faith, Bible being the inspired word of God. I think those are important. The literal resurrection of Jesus. There's only one God, right? I think those are important. I think my question is kind of keeping an eye on the chat, and thinking of what you're kind of getting at is like, how do we move people from right believing to right action, right? Because our orthodoxy should impact our orthopraxy. So if I'm believing the right things, I should eventually start behaving a certain way. I should eventually do certain things like be more kind, be more gentle, exhibit those fruits of the Spirit, right? And I think that would just be my heart for the people here is like, man, we all have our different slants. One of the things that is very important to me is seeing young men experience breakthrough with their addictions, develop financial literacy, develop scarce skills. I could beat that drum all day long, right? But I don't think you do that and then you say anybody else who doesn't do that is now not doing it right, or anybody else that might have a different take on something like that is not doing it right. And so that's like one of my convictions for one of the reasons I'm trying to do the chat. It's like I really want people to live God's way. Like live your life God's way. You live God's way by getting into God's word. And if you get in God's word, you'll learn God's ways. And if you live God's ways, you'll always be in God's will. That's my heart. I really want to see people do that. And Corey, as I'm sure you know, and brother Allen, other brothers have done things like, man, we press heavy, like, hey, get in the scriptures, read through the New Testament, read through the Bible in a year, spend time in the scriptures, getting actual proper understanding and framework, referring people to other channels, so on and so forth. And so I think that's the part where if we're doing all of this, but the behavior of the audience is never changing, right? Is it what are we stirring people onto sanctification for? Yeah. Right? Like sanctification is us cooperating with the work of the Spirit in our lives, us becoming more conformed to who Jesus is. And if that never changes the way we talk, that never changes the way we engage, that never changes the way we talk to non-believers, the way we talk to believers, so on and so forth. What is the point really if people aren't coming to the Lord and living their life like God, living their life the way Jesus would have them live their life? That's my heart. And so I think everybody has different approaches to these things. And I agree with you. Like, and again, if there's anything you want me to address specifically, Corey, I'm not afraid to address anything. If there's things I've been wrong on, I'll own them. If there's things I've been unclear about, I'll clear those up. You know what I mean? Because I'm far from perfect. And that's not an excuse. That's not a license to say I'm far from perfect, therefore don't hold me accountable, right? Like, no, I'm far from perfect. I'm going to make mistakes and I will own those mistakes and I will do better with those shortcomings in my life. And Corey, man, the last 14, 15 months, I've changed. I've evolved. My views changed. Some things I watch back and I'm like, I can't believe this video is still up. This is cringe. Take that thing down, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that I take down that I've just, in my own personal sanctification process within the last couple of months, 6 months, right? That have just changed a lot for me. And so I think that's the part where it just comes off very cancel culture-ish. Like we'll look at the world and we'll be like, how dare you try to cancel, but then we're canceling each other within the church. I disagree with this brother on this thing, or the way he behaved in this situation, or the way he didn't come down hard enough in this situation. So I'm going to discard him completely and say there's no value that he presents. And that's just such a, like, I genuinely feel bad if that's the state of Christendom. Like if that's where we're at, or at least what we sometimes see in the comment section. I don't want to speak in absolutes. So I don't know. That would be my.
There's nothing that you've done to me that we need to address anything. That if there's something that you've done to anyone else or whatever, that's for them. And so there's no need really for me, unless you want to hash it out with that, about that person here, because it's not between you and me. It might be between you and Joe Bob. And so that's between you and Joe Bob. And so I don't do the whole, I saw a little bit of that deal because I didn't know who the baby is.
Yeah.
But I saw that. And so I'm not trying to jump on somebody, jump somebody, 5 against 1 or what have you. And so if
you just used the baby as an illustration for what
yeah,
I
well,
was talking
because
about. That's
I
good.
saw that
That's
video
good,
earlier.
Corey.
I was like, man, what is this? That's some coward stuff that what those guys did, by the way. But anyway,
Yeah.
but um, I want you guys to kind of hear my heart. I've been through enough to where certain stuff just don't bother me. Now I can say, hey man, why does that bother y'all? Why y'all should be bigger than this by now. Y'all should grow, because in the end, the YouTube stuff ain't the stuff that matters. It really ain't. It's really not. I've seen guys who are at the point where they're about to lose their life and they needed the word from the Lord. I've been there with those guys. Okay. I've been there with the guys who were struggling about taking their own life. Seen some guys where I think I may have failed and the guy ended up taking his life. And so I know I'm trying to learn which fights to fight and which ones not to. Which ones should I let the next person have? Which fights should I let Ruslan have? Which fight should I let Dear Old Christian have? Which fight should I let Seiko have? Which fight should I let Alan have? All the fights aren't for me. They're not. Jesus makes a statement to to Peter when he's giving Peter instructions. And Peter looks back and says, oh, but look at John over there. What about him? We ain't worried about him. We're talking about you. And so sometimes God needs me to focus on what God needs me to focus on, right? And if you step out of the lane, as it relates to doctrine, you're in my lane now, okay? If you are over here and I'm not over there, then so be it. There's enough wolves to go after. There's enough uplifting Christ that needs to be done. There's enough sound doctrine that needs to be ironed out. And so I don't sweat certain stuff. Y'all got to remember what I've gone through. Remember, I'm talking about 13 years in the joint, right? I'm talking about being in the worst prison in America, okay? Getting down to the one of the softest prisons and really one of the gayest prison in America, which is polar opposites. But so I've been through some things. Been shot at a few times, guys. Been ran out of a town once, and then ran out of a house twice for some drug issues. Been homeless, guys. Been homeless. Almost died because of drugs in my system from my mother, and then life just got worse thereafter. So I'm gonna worry about the stuff that you guys are sweating when that stuff doesn't keep me awake at night. And so pardon me for uplifting the gospel more than putting this guy down. Now, granted, if that guy is wrong, he's fair game. But we're not gonna beat him up just so for the sake of beating him up. If this is the issue that we have to have straight, guys. Motive has to matter. Motive has to matter. If I think that John is wrong, me calling out John should be based on my motives for his well-being. But if my calling him out is just I want to sucker punch him, I think he's wrong, and I'm mad at that. Well, then I need to check myself. I'm wrong. You guys are wrong. Anybody that came in this chat, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. Anybody that came in this chat and wanted me to jump on Ruslan, you're dead wrong. You're dead wrong, because you didn't want me to jump on Ruslan for the sake of I see a thumbs down. I don't care. Dismiss yourself. If you came in here because you came in to jump on him for the wrong reason, you didn't come in here. You didn't want me to get on him for doctrine's sake. You didn't want me to get on him for the sake of the gospel. You wanted me to do it because you wanted me to just to get on him. Why can't I get on him in private? I don't. You know what? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Give me the gospel. Give me scriptures.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, and so I know Ruslan's got to leave here. We're going to do this. We'll do this. When Ruslan does leave.
Let me go ahead. I'm sorry, Corey.
When Ruslan does leave, I'm open up for chats. Yeah. I'm going to let you come on the screen and we're going to go over scriptures. Okay?
Yeah.
We're going to use this camera and we're going to talk about it. The reason why I don't want you guys to do it with Ruslan, because I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. You guys are going to want to jump on him or what have you. And we're not doing that. Yeah. We're not doing that.
So and you guys could jump on by calling into my Patreon call every other Sunday night if you ever wanted to. So that's there. Corey, let me address this. This entire Marcus Rogers thing. I've addressed this before. It's gotten clipped before. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how many times I got to address it. Okay, if you look at the totality of my videos about Marcus, and there's a few, they're all disagreeing with him on specific doctrinal issues, whether that's tongues, whether that's challenging him on his view of the Godhead in the very first interview we did, so on and so forth. Marcus and I are friendly offline. We've never met in person. You know, I've never hung out with him. And I think there was a time where I said the word anointed, and when I referred to him as Brother Marcus, I think people took that as an endorsement of his ministry. And again, if people hear everything I've said, I've also said, I don't think Marcus should be a church planter. I've also said, I think he's very wrong about X, Y, and Z. I've said quite a few things in areas I disagree with him privately and publicly. And privately, Corey, I've repeatedly told him to go on your channel or go on someone's channel so he could unpack exactly where he is with the Trinity and the Godhead. Repeatedly told him that. I've Dear Woke Christian just sent me a video of Marcus's Godhead video. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I cannot watch every single video Marcus puts out.
It's crazy.
So I think sometimes there's this assumption that is, if you're acquaintances with someone, if you're colleagues with someone, then you endorse everything that person believes and pushes. And I've also challenged a lot of brothers behind the scenes, Corey, Dear Woke Christians, others. Hey, if Marcus is a oneness Pentecostal, which he's never claimed that to me privately, again, challenged him privately about it. Said you need to clean this up. Your views on the Trinity, they're very muddy. They're very confusing. I've also challenged brothers on, hey, make one video where it's clear as day that Marcus is pushing oneness modalism. Make one video and just and have one point of reference that if he is to be marked a heretic, there's one point of reference that everybody can go to, a 15-minute video that clearly puts him in his own words saying these things. Because every time I check, there's a lot of double talk. There's Jesus is eternal, Jesus was there from the beginning, but Jesus is a thought of God. Like it's very confusing. And so I can't figure out if Marcus is working through these things, which is, again, if I'm going to be hopeful and pray for the best and believe the best, right? I'm hoping that he's working through these things. On the other end of the spectrum, the snake out of the back, which I talked about that, right? Like all those other things I've repeatedly have talked about and been like, this is out of pocket. This is not good. Tongues view bad. This is not good, right? I'm also, when I'm speaking about these things, and I haven't made a Marcus video in a while, nor do I plan to, I'm also speaking because I know his audience watches me, and in the way I'm speaking about him, I'm not going to just rattle off a bunch of stuff and just completely discard him, because he seems to be unclear with this. And brothers privately, this is not just beyond just YouTube. Brothers privately have approached him about the Trinity, approached him about the Godhead, all these different things. So I think that would be the tension in that is I've used the word anointed one time. I shouldn't have used that word. I should not have used that word. What I meant was he's a clever YouTuber. He's a good communicator. The man could sit in his car, turn on the video, and it's interesting. You know what I mean? That's what I meant to say. I didn't say that. That's my bad. I should not have used the word anointed, because it could have came off like I'm endorsing him as an anointed preacher and speaker and teacher.
Do you think he's a brother?
And as a brother, right? And to be clear, I don't know. If he's rejecting the Trinity after repeatedly getting corrected of the Trinity, that is a very dangerous heresy. And again, said this to him privately, right? So if we're saying, hey, man, I'm confused on this, help me understand, which is usually the tone. Help me understand, help me process, versus like, I reject this doctrine completely, and it's oneness Pentecostal and modalism, and that's what I'm on, right? I think there's a spectrum there. There's a difference there. And so I don't know exactly where he is. I don't watch all of his videos. And I've never endorsed his church. I've never endorsed his ministry. I've said on record that I don't think he should be a church planter. I don't think it's healthy for him. I don't think it's good for the church. I've said all of these different things. So I think what happens is we'll take a narrative of Ruslan endorses Marcus Rogers. Oh, and by the way, and when I say brother Marcus Rogers, he refers to himself in third person as brother Marcus. So if I'm saying brother Mark, I'm not saying brother in the Lord Marcus Rogers. That is what he said. The false prophecy. I was one of the first Christian YouTubers addressing the false prophecy. I brought him back. I had him on once to call him out to his face. Go watch the very first video. And then I brought him on again when me and Alan and John attempted to correct him in that. So I've addressed the false prophet. I've done all these different things. So I think what people take is they'll say, oh, you said you weren't hard enough against his heretical view on tongues and how he believes. I didn't know he believed in water baptism for salvation. Didn't know that. I think your video brought that to my attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this notion that somebody comes on your channel, you're friendly with somebody, that you're endorsing everything they believe is hogwash to me. And I don't think you believe that about my channel, and you having me on is not an endorsement of everything I've ever said and ever will say. And that's the same thing with Marcus. Like, I don't know what how is that confusing? Like, again, go ahead.
Now,
you can push back, Corey.
I've said this to you before. I've said about other people, and I said about myself. If people get the view that Ruslan is not definitive enough about something, then all Ruslan can blame is himself, because he, more than anybody else, Ruslan is responsible for the narrative that he puts out and how people see them. If Joe Bob over here, who has his channel, people feel this way about him, he's responsible for that. I am responsible for how people see me, rightly or wrongly. And so if somebody says, because you know how it is, you can say something 10 times and they didn't hear you say it.
Right.
Because it's something, now it might be something else that you said also that kind of muddies it up. And so me personally, I think he's not a brother. I think I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt that he was just, and I'm not being mean or other when I say this, but that he just not very intelligent, just not smart, just not bright. Right. Yep. And he was just confused. But then after I said it, I said, no, he's intentionally doing some deceptive things. Now we can get into also his actual personal life, the things that have transpired, where, getting him out of the army and so forth. But just doctrinally and how he's behaved, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But there's no doubt in my mind. That's why I don't have a problem with saying, Marcus Rogers, if you don't change, you're going to hell. You're not a Christian. You're not a brother. You don't even understand what you don't even understand what the Bible is. And so I think now some folks want Ruslan to be the exact same. I wish you would be more definitive on that. Now, however, if you're not, I do know this, that you're clear on where you stand. I think you ought to be more stronger on this, whatever, but that ain't, we're going to divide over this. Because here's the thing, and I want you guys to ask yourself this question, you guys in the chat. All right, here's a question for every last person in the chat, especially everyone who is saying that I think that Ruslan needs to be tougher. You ready? I want you guys to pay attention to this, because I see you guys are chatting away. You're not going to hear what I'm going to ask you, but I want you to think about this. If you don't hear it now, go back and watch the replay. Here's the question, guys. If anyone in your family, a friend or loved one, is not as stringent or as strict or as strong as you are on a particular cause, are you going to avoid them? I want you to think about that for a second. If your wife or your husband isn't as strong or as vocal about something as you are you going to leave them alone? Because sometimes it's easy to do it when the person is not, we don't know the person, we're not friendly with them, right? I can dismiss this guy over here because I don't have that kind of relationship with him. But Honey Boo over here, I can't. She just is wrong, but right? And so that makes us hypocritical. So the issue is, how much grace and love do I want to show my family members? Do I want shown to me? But then I got to extend the same thing. If I think that Ruslan is wrong in his approach, I got to extend the same thing to Ruslan or to Alan Parr, whomever else. And so I don't treat those professed Christians like they're not professed Christians. That's just me. Because remember, and I'm not equating Ruslan or any of these other guys with Jesus, but the same tag was placed on Jesus. Jesus, what are you doing with these people? What's happening, Jesus? So we need to be careful, because here's the danger, guys. Here's the danger. Now, I'm fully confident in what I say about Marcus Rogers. I am. I'm confident about that. I think he's horrible. I think he is. Let me get close to this mic real quick. Hold on, y'all. I think Marcus is horrible. I think he is horrible. Now, that being said, I'm sorry. I think he's horrible, but I'm hopeful that he can be turned around. Now, about somebody else who I disagree with their tactics, somebody asked me again about my buddy. I'm cool with Seiko Woods, guys. I'm cool. Let me say that. I'm cool with Seiko Woods. For you guys that want me to just dismiss Seiko because you don't like his style, I'm cool with him. I'm cool with Ruslan. I'm cool with a lot of these guys, right? I'm cool with Ruslan. There's about 10 guys who would probably like to bury you on their channel. I'm cool with them too. Here's the issue, guys. If you're wrong on how you're treating the brother, who do you think you got to answer to? I want you to think about that for a second. If you're wrong about Ruslan, or if you're wrong about Alan, or if you're wrong about me, or if you're wrong about Seiko, or if you're wrong about Will, or if you're wrong about Rick, or if you're wrong about the ladies, April, if you're wrong about any person who calls themselves a child of God, who do you think you got to deal with? Not them. So that's why I'm strong in my resolve going against the non-believer, the heretic. I'm going to proceed with caution with a person who calls himself a brother. Okay, so while there may be some differences in doctrine, I'm going to love them because there's no difference in daddy. Doctrine, we might differ on some things, but daddy, we don't. Same daddy.
Yeah, right? and I would say how you differ in doctrine matters. Mm-hmm. I think we're like, people would like to accuse each other of pragmatism. But if we think that like you can hop on YouTube, say whatever you want in whatever tone, myself included, about anyone you want because they may be wrong or you may disagree with them, or maybe they are in error, or maybe they're even a heretic, but we can flippantly speak about anyway. Man, Jesus said we're going to give an account for every word. And that's something to think about. So I think how we do these things, Corey, and what we say and the approach matters. Like I don't know how we don't. It's like we can't have this like ends justify the means approach to these conversations of like, well, just because so and so is an error, I'm able to just flippantly talk any way I want about them. Man, like we're all gonna have to give account. Mm-hmm. We're all gonna have to give account, and I don't think that's something to be playing with regards to these platforms. And so oftentimes I feel like we're more comfortable with just being known by what we're against and who we're against, mm-hmm. instead of saying, hey, here is what the scriptures is. And Corey, from day one, I told you, man, I think that's one of the things I really appreciated about your channels. Is I started poking away. I was like, man, Corey's not just making videos going at people. You actually have videos explaining and defending eternal security, which is something me and you would agree on, right? You have videos going over these different things and actually contending for the gospel. And so, and by the way, and that's not an indictment on quote unquote discernment ministries. And I've had a lot of conversations with people privately. I think it's how these things are done. I'll give you guys an example. I am not a fan of Bethel Church. Not a fan of Bethel Church. And I have a lot of friends that are influenced by Bethel Church, whether musically or whether theologically. But Mike Winger's video on Bethel Church, the tone, the format, the desire to research, the desire to let people speak in their own voice about their own theology, and it not being hearsay and not being this is what this person believes. But Mike Winger's video on Bethel and how they're in error is one of the best utilities for providing people a piece of content that says, hey, some of this stuff is dangerous. Some of the views on apostles, dangerous. Here is them in their own words. This is Pastor Mike Winger. He's not dunking on them and just being angry. He actually walks you through a very thoughtful, and I think it's like a 2-hour video that Mike Winger put together on Bethel. That I think it was amazing, and I feel like it's helping a lot of people. And I've sent that video to a lot of people. So it's not that discernment ministries are wrong. It's not that we never talk about these things. I think it's how we talk about these things and the means of which we talk about these things that I think is very helpful. And so there's an example. And by the way, I've used that example for a lot of people behind the scenes. Hey, I know you want to do it this way, but check out the way Mike Winger did it. Here is Bill Johnson in his own words saying things that are outlandish that any Christian could hear and go, wait a minute, that's out of pocket, right? And again, those of you guys that maybe like Bethel, go check out that Mike Winger video. And I think that's a great blueprint. But you know what, Corey? That video, Mike Winger does one video a week. He spends 40 hours researching, prepping, doing notes. And I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying, let's be frank. A lot of times cats just get on the internet and just start saying stuff. They're not praying through stuff. They don't have an outline of a sermon. They're not approaching this with any type of reverence. They're just going for it. You know what I mean? And so I think if you guys are into the discernment thing, I would say, hey, use that as the gold standard. Check out that Mike Winger video on Bethel. Use that as the gold standard. I watched this video recently on Joel Osteen. He did a great video. Joel Osteen, line by line of his sermon. This is where he gets it right. This is where he gets it wrong. This is how it's misleading, right? And I think when you see that sort of prep, you got to admire it. You got to go, man, that's so well done. And the tone and the humility which he speaks at is good. So I say all that to say, how is just as matter as the why and the what. The how is just as important as the why and the what. And I don't really see that a whole lot, to be honest. Like from the quote unquote discernment community, or I don't know if you identify as discernment or whatever this is, but the discernment community, I don't see a ton of like reverence and I don't see a ton of grace, and I don't see I just don't see that from the stuff I've poked in on. And it's also not straw manning somebody. Like sometimes we straw man and we don't let the person say what their actual belief is. You don't let them actually say it. You kind of straw man you. Oh, so you mean this? And just, some of it's being funny. So I don't know. That would be my, like, if there's any value you take. Somebody said Joel Osteen for president.
I think this about the discernment ministries. And listen, I think I'm subscribed to probably all of them because there's a value to them. There's something like, wow, this person said that. This person said that. What did because let's just be honest. If it weren't for some of these discernment ministries, these quote discernment ministries, we wouldn't know some of the things that's being said. I love woke preacher clips because he just plays the clip. You come to your own conclusion, which I like that. I like, and Justin Peters is more than that. So I don't even like to lump him in that category. But Colin Miller, I think sometimes can, because if that's what all you're going to do, then you're going to find yourself looking for that. And let's just be clear, there is no such thing as a discernment ministry. A ministry has to promote the gospel. And if you're not promoting the gospel, you are not a ministry, even though you're talking about someone else not promoting the gospel. Are you all with me? And so there is no basis for that. You should not find the gospel on your way to finding snakes. You should promote the gospel, and on your way to doing so, you may notice a snake and say, "Hey guys, beware of that snake." But I know you got to get ready to go. But I want to
let me just say this real quick. And what you just described, Corey, the people who just make videos about how other people don't preach the gospel correctly, that is where I would place the heresy hunter tribe. That's beyond discernment ministry. That's full on, like, I just get up and I'm trying to find something to be angry about. Or again, I don't want to assume intent. That's how it comes off. Folks wake up and they go, what can I find? What piece of content can I find to be outraged about, and just rail in? I'm gonna keep it a buck. A lot of the videos aren't good. They're just from a YouTube standpoint, and it's just kind of winging it and just railing in. And there is no direct preaching of the gospel. Two, somebody asked if I believe you got to speak in tongues to be saved. Absolutely not. Go watch my video on Marcus Rogers. I've never believed that. I don't think that. I don't think Mark 16 is intended to be taken the way that the far end charismaniac crowd would say that. But I am not a cessationalist. Like, I don't believe all the gifts have ceased. But no, I do not believe that. No.
Here's what's going to happen. Because I just know how some people are. Most people who came in here liking Ruslan are going to leave liking Ruslan. Those who came in not liking Ruslan are going to leave not liking Ruslan. And I'm cool with that one way or the other. And you probably are too. I think, though, as long as a person, their heart is towards preaching what Christ did on the cross, that he died for you, and that's the only way to salvation, we're good. We're going to have some differences in, let's say, social justice issues. We're going to have some differences in how we deal with, let's say, somebody's marriage, how to raise kids. We're going to have some differences in doctrine. And I believe, guys, doctrine matters. Again, those books aren't a decoration. They're not. I read through those books. This doggone expensive Bible software, I didn't get that just so I can put scriptures. I can go to one of the online things and put up there, right? Or just cut and paste scriptures up here. But this is for me to grow. So this doctrine matters. Understanding God's word does matter. And I believe this, as I said before, we're not saved based on what we know. We are saved based on who we know. That's Jesus Christ. But now who we know is enhanced by what we know. Are you all with me? That's very important. It's how you live an abundant life. I want to read this passage though, because I know you got to get out of here. But I'd be wrong.
Let me just co-sign everything you said, Corey. I agree. Doctrine does matter. I don't know any Christian that would say teaching doesn't matter. Like, that is such an asinine position to be like, doctrine doesn't matter. No, doctrine matters. Your orthodoxy will impact your orthopraxy. Absolutely. And again, like, go look at my last couple of videos, guys. Like, don't take the hearsay and the narrative. Go actually listen to what I'm saying and ask yourself, am I driving people back to the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus, that Christ lived the life we couldn't live, that he died the death we should have died in our place on the cross? I drive that point home, I would say, in 80% of my videos, consistently using whatever's trending to pull people and preach the gospel. And if you don't see that, then you're probably not watching. You probably heard something. You probably watched a video. Something I said triggered you. Maybe I was confusing. But I'm 100% with you. What we believe, Corey, will determine how we behave. If we believe there needs to be a works-based salvation and we got to jump through all these hoops, then we're going to behave in such a way. If we believe that we're saved by grace through faith, that is going to compel us to live a holy, sanctified life and cooperate with the Spirit in our life. So I'm 100% with you that doctrine totally matters.
Amen. Let me read this passage so we can go ahead and dismiss this part. Now, after this, guys, after Ruslan leaves, some guys who I got 4 dislikes, and so you 4 may want to come on and talk to me. It might be 10 dislikes. That's fine. I'll be here to talk with you. You can straighten me out. You better use scripture. And guess what, guys? Both scriptures matter. The ones where we're supposed to call out the wolves, and the ones I got 2 more dislikes. We're supposed to love people as well. They both matter, and so there has to be some sort of healthy balance, right? So let me read this passage real quick, and then you all see if this indicts you or if this comforts you, right? Let's go back to it. This is Galatians 5:15, and he says, "But if you bite and devour one another, watch out that you are not consumed by one another." Let me read it again. "But if you bite and devour one another, watch out that you are not consumed by one another." What he didn't say is you get to bite and devour based on this, and this. He just says, if you bite and devour, he says, watch out that you are not consumed by one another, meaning it's coming back at you. And so maybe Ruslan isn't your cup of tea. Hey, that's fine. Maybe I'm not your cup of tea. I don't know why you wouldn't, or I wouldn't be. Maybe this guy over here isn't your cup of tea. That's fine. We need more people on YouTube. We need more Christians, because I found this out, that the guy that was a crack dealer or a drug addict, you know who he can help lead to Christ? The crack addict or the drug dealer. The person that was abused sexually can relate to the person who also was abused sexually. The person who, like myself, been in prison, I can go and, you all will think that, hey, this guy sounds a certain way, wears glasses, no tats, no grill, whatever, that I can't talk to the guy in prison on the street. Yes, I can. And so we all have a part to play, and it may not be for the same audience, which is fine, which is totally fine. Some folks are going to be this way, some are that way. As Paul talks about, there are different parts of the body, and we all have need of each part to be part of this body. And so, guys, I want to thank you all for being here. Ruslan, brother, I want to thank you for coming on. I know some folks wanted me to kind of jump on you. On the next video, I promise I'm going to clown Ruslan, jump on here and talk bad about him.
Corey, thank you for having me on, man. Like this was cool. I want you to know I appreciate you. I appreciate our conversations privately. We don't agree on everything. We quite a few things we disagree on, but you've always been charitable. You've always been kind. And those of you guys that have issue with me, reach out. Like, really reach out. Reach out. Don't leave me a dissertation in the comment section, because what people don't know, Corey, is that gets auto flagged by YouTube a lot of times. People are like, you're deleting comments. That gets auto flagged. But reach out to me. The easiest way to get a hold of me is probably on Twitter, because it's just less traffic over there. So I'll probably see your tweet. And reach out. And if you want to have a reasonable conversation, if I say something in a video recently and you think, man, I think, okay, reach out and let's have some dialogue. Let's have some dialogue, because I do engage, and I want the opportunity to turn my critics into coaches. And I think that's helpful. I think that's healthy for all of us. And because ultimately we should be stirred on more towards loving each other, and isn't just, I'm going to tell you all the good things you want to hear. Loving each other sometimes means, hey man, I think you were out of pocket here. I think you were, I think this came off confusing. I think you might want to clean this up, right? But usually those things are going to be well better said and received in a way where we're having a dialogue, and it's not a comment of multiple paragraphs that I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm not gonna read that. You know what I mean? And it gets auto flagged a lot of times. So anyway, Corey, thank you so much for having me. I do got to go. It's my niece's birthday today. We're taking them to the jump park. I appreciate you. I'll try to catch the rest of the broadcast on the way there. Hopefully my wife will drive. But I appreciate you, Corey. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. You have a good one.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right, for the rest of you guys, I'm going to go. If you want to come on, if you want to tell me how wrong I was and how I am enabling the enemy, whatever you want to say, come on. We can have this conversation amongst brothers and sisters. Send an email to me. I'll send you the link, smartchristianchannel@gmail.com. and then we'll go ahead and talk. Let me move this out of the way. This is actually in my way. But we'll have this conversation. Now, remember, I am talking to any and everybody except we don't have a Muslim ban. And if you're an atheist, you're welcome to come on. If you're Muslim, you are welcome to come on. If you're a Cowboys fan, even worse, you're welcome to come on. But if you are a Hebrew Israelite, no bueno. Don't let us know that. I don't know why these porn sites or whatever, these folks that just want to, these people, Lord, did I ban it? Okay, I think I banned them. Okay, cool. So if you guys want to come on, send me an email, and let's see. Okay, I think I got somebody want to come on now. Let me send this link. I may get some folks who want to get after me today, which is cool. If I was wrong, I'm open for rebuke. Okay, can I come on? All right, somebody else. Let me send you the. Now, what I want you to come on primarily, guys, is for what we're talking about, not for hey, let's talk about once saved, always saved. Let's talk about tongues. Let's talk about binding and loose. I want to, if you want to come on and talk about where you think I was wrong, then let's have that conversation. Matter of fact, let me go to my regular screen where it's just me and not the. By the way, did y'all see my deal? Y'all hadn't mentioned anything about my new little setup. So anyway, this guy put tighten up. Okay, Tennessee Titans. I hope that's what you're talking about. Anyway, so all right, let me move this over here so I can pull someone on. Let me unlock. Is that screen unlocked? Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right, now. All right, here we go. Let me bring you on. What's going on, brother? What's your name? Can't hear you. I still can't. I can see you well, coming in good, but I can't hear you. I'm still not hearing you. Your mic plugged in? Because I'm not getting any volume, my brother. All right. Let me go back. I'll tell you what, let me put you on hold. Let me go back to the next person. All right. I'm gonna leave you there though. All right, got Roberto. Roberto, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on? You can hear me?
Yeah, turn your YouTube volume off.
Hey, what's going on? You can hear me? All right, how about now?
I can hear you perfectly. Let me type. Go ahead and tell me what you got, my friend.
Actually, you had said something about you just wanted people on to address the current live stream.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, I listened to about half of it. So I mean, I'm not here to, like come against you or Ruslan. I actually admire both of you guys. Same thing that you guys were saying about each other. There's things that you don't agree about one another, and some things that you do agree with and stuff like that. I actually admire Smart Christian Channel. I admire Ruslan. But I do have questions because
Okay.
I do have a couple questions because I know you hear this a lot, but I'm one of those that really loves.
Oh, what happened?
Jesus. I've been in the hole. I've been in prison for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Jesus saved me from the pits. And so I love Jesus with all of my heart. I know you guys hear that a lot, right? So, like, the one thing that I have a concern, not saying absolutely that this does not happen with like channels like yours and all the I watch all of them. I mean, I watch you, Seiko Woods, Ruslan, Alan Parr, Marcus Rogers. The majority of you, I watch you. I don't watch you all 100% of the time, but I do watch y'all. And
Mm-hmm.
my concern is really, and I want to know what your idea, what your take is on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
My concern is, for the most part, right? This is not an indictment or anything like that, but for the most part, right? Particular when all of you all go live, the pre-made videos. I'm talking about when you go live and you start addressing issues and stuff like that. One thing that I see that is lacking, not indefinitely, not mostly, but lacking, is prayer, right? I don't like I think prayer is important. I think prayer is one of the most important things that we can do as a believer. And for the most part, when I see the most of you all, most of the time, not all the time, I don't hear a prayer, right? I don't hear a prayer at the beginning. I don't
Mm-hmm.
hear a prayer during. I don't hear a prayer at the end. I just don't see prayer going on, and I think that that is a vital a part of our faith as believers and as Christians, right? I just don't see enough praying, and I think is a concern. Is that a concern for you?
Well,
Not on your part primarily, but generally.
I don't, not really. Here's why. I agree with you that prayer is absolutely important. Before I come on, I pray. And my prayer is that what I say is what you would have me say, Lord, and that it edifies you and it brings people closer to understanding you. I don't always hit the mark. Sometimes I have to come back and say, you know what, I didn't do a good enough job with that. I'm going to have to do another video to clarify this point or to say it that way, right? And so, but today I wanted to pray because I wanted everyone to be in on this prayer. But when I come on, I pray before I come on. Why? Because I want to hurry up and get to it. You have no idea. You guys have no idea of the comments that I get sometimes. Hey, you took too long setting up your point. Get to it. All right, fine, whatever. But I do want to kind of get into it because people have short attention spans, and so I want to go ahead and get to it. And so I'm also assuming that other people on their channels, when they come on, that they have prayed. But if not, then hey, it's not necessarily a prerequisite that I have to pray on the channel. But as long as one, I pray, but also that you pray as well. So and maybe, hey, if you guys would like to have me pray more on the channel, no problem. Matter of fact, I'll pray on the channel for you. I'll pray online or in the, not the chats, but in the comment section or emails with you. So I have no problem with that, but I get your point.
Amen. 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 Yeah, definitely. Because I just believe that, and what I see, like, and again, this is not indefinite, and this is not like 100%. But for the most part, most of the time, I see people hopping from one live feed to the next live feed to the next live feed to the next live feed. And all they want to do is they want to add fuel to the fire. They want to be in the comment section, talk junk about this person, talk junk about that person, see, what you're going to say about this person, and see what that person's going to say about you,
Mm-hmm.
and this and that. And I just think that that's, a problem, but I think it's going to happen. So it's not an indictment on the YouTube comment community or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that I believe that in your comment section and everybody else's comment section, there are there are people that at one time or another really do need some prayer. Now, is that a separate ministry for you to maybe like do separately? I don't know. I'm just bringing up the
Mm-hmm.
fact that
Well,
I just don't see enough prayer.
let me
That's all.
say this, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you. Matter of fact, I'm going to let you go now so I can bring this next gentleman. I appreciate you, and I'll go ahead and give you my my rebut or my retort as I bring the next one. But I appreciate you, brother. If anyone is in need or wanting prayer, you all know how to hit me. I might not see it in the comment section on the chat section here. So if you're looking for prayer, you might want to ask someone else because I'm not the only Christian here. The chat's full of Christians. And so if you want prayer at that very moment, let someone know, let the moderators know, or someone else tag someone as you're doing it. But then also send me an email. Have no problem with that as well. Okay. Let me go ahead and bring on my brother again. All right, my friend. We got volume this time.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Well, give me a second. I'm trying to make sure that I turn my volume down. So
no, you're fine. Don't turn your volume down over here. Because matter of fact, I could probably turn
my headphones weren't coming through.
Okay. So where are you? Are you at church or something?
No, I'm at my studio.
Okay.
Yeah, got my own little studio. So, I think, at least in my estimation of everything, my understanding is that when people like Ruslan come on to your broadcast or your network, and Ruslan is one of those guys where I followed his YouTube for a long time. I used to do Christian rap concerts, so I've had some interaction with Ruslan as well, and also I've also had interaction with other Christian rappers, and so what I see is that when these guys come online, right, the issue seems to be that sometimes they're unreachable in what they do in their presentation of their content. Now, Ruslan has said openly that he, if you watch his channel and you have a problem with what he has said, then you can just look and see, okay, I'm pushing the message of Jesus Christ all the time. I'm dealing with issues and I'm actually trying to push the gospel message on a regular basis. But if anybody who's actually watched Ruslan's content on a regular basis, and this is not to slight him, but he's not as consistent as he says he is. And so when a person like yourself who has a ton of followers and it's algorithmically made up word beneficial for him, he will come on and have a conversation with you. And a lot of us smaller guys, he would not engage us in the way that he says he engages us. So when you, I think that's the kind of catch-22 is that when you have him on, right? We don't expect you to attack Ruslan, so please don't hear me saying that. But because I believe you represent like the faithful part of YouTube that consistently, exegetically, and hermeneutically puts your content together, then you have an individual like Ruslan who's consistently inconsistent. And if I had time, I have timestamps. I just had to unsubscribe to him. I couldn't even have his channel on my feed because he was always saying something that was inconsistent with the
So let me ask you this. If you say that he is consistently inconsistent, I mean, we're gonna have to go fast. I got two other people on, but what do you think the solution is? What should we do about it?
Well, he said something that was key in his presentation. He said, "Well, if you think that I'm inconsistent, reach out to me." So to me, that speaks to some type of accountability, right? But here's the problem with what he's saying is that he's been on shows and broadcasts. Like you said, he was on a show with Marcus. He wasn't consistently clear, even saying after 10 years of preaching, 605,000 subscribers, 1.4 million subscribers worldwide, he doesn't know where Marcus Rogers stand. I call bull on that. Because he used to be a leader in his church. He said he was an elder or a leader or had some type of position in his church. So if in your church, right, you don't have the discernment or the biblical acumen to discover when an individual is side talking and not teaching the scriptures,
okay, now,
then you're misrepresenting.
What do we do about it? So if what you're saying is true, then what do we do about it?
Well, myself, the people in my category can't do anything about it because he wouldn't have that conversation with us. And I think that's when he showed up on your platform. That's kind of the conversation that we didn't expect an attack, But hey, Alan Parr is like, let's build bridges with false wolves. And, he said, I don't know if he's saved or not, right? And there's probably from his following 50 other examples of not only unclear teaching,
well,
but
let me say
incorrect
this.
biblical.
Let me say this. There are some people who know how to get down and fight, right? And then there's some people who just don't fight. I think it'd be wrong to say you don't get down like I get down, and so you're wrong. Now, do I think that they should be? I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they're not. But if this person over here, if we feel like this person is coddling bad behavior, how do we get them to adjust? Do we want them to be like we are, right? And so it'd be wrong for us to think that everybody like Alan. Listen, Alan Parr is the guy that listen. He's a genuinely nice guy, right? He's a nice guy. He's not trying. He ain't the guy that's going to go in the bar and start the fight. He ain't going. If he sees a fight, he's probably going to turn around and go the other way. There's some guys in the chat. Maybe at some time I used to be one where if I see the fight, hold my jacket. I'm getting in this, right? And so there are people that do different things. Now, what I am saying is this, though, and if a person who has a larger platform is not as harsh as they should be, and there are times where, listen, no question about it, there are times where you have to be harsh. The false thing to do, the wrong thing to do, is to treat the person who's not as harsh as they should be as though they are the heretic themselves. Are you with me? Because I can promise you the time is coming when each one of us are going to do the wrong thing, and somebody's going to want to come and swing at us. And so there's a time to be harsh, who you're harsh to, and then also, more importantly, what your motive is. Wisdom has to play a part in our walk. It just has to. And sometimes we throw it out the door as though we don't care what happens to the person after we get through cutting them up, or what happens to the audience. Okay? And so that's the issue. And so while I want to go hard at this person, I'm not going to get mad at this other person for not going that hard with them, right? I get upset sometimes because my wife is more sensitive than I am. Like, what? Come on, honey, this stuff, right? And she gets mad at me for not being as sensitive or caring as she is. And so it'd be wrong for me to want her to be like I am, and wrong for her to, but now, do we toe the line on what's truth, what's facts? Yeah. How we deal with it, it is going to vary. Because I can promise you, there are some people who are going to come to Christ not by the hammer, but by the hug. It just is. Matter of fact, of the 700 plus folks that are in the chat, 800, however many it was, I wonder how many of you all came to Christ based off of a hammer or off a hug.
Well,
and so that's my only point. And so I can't, while I would hit him, while I would go at certain people a certain way, and I wish that they would use the same tact. Okay, fine. I think you dropped the ball on this one. I said it publicly. I think Alan dropped the ball when it came to Mark, because he had him there. You had a chance where there's over 1 million people that potentially might watch this between the two channels, where you could have, plus folks who are going to talk about it, where you could have. And so while I think he dropped the ball, where he missed an opportunity, a golden, valuable opportunity, is he an unbeliever? No, he's not. And so I'm not going to treat him that way. So again, guys, I do fight, but also hopefully I've learned when to fight and when not to fight. So anyway, but listen, I got to let you go. I got to get to this next, brother. I appreciate you so much. You stay safe, brother. All right, my friend. Who am I talking to?
Hi, Pastor Corey. My name is Joseph Edmund Raymond.
Hey, Joseph.
Hey, I just wanted to say thanks for all your content, and just a couple quick questions.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just tell you a little bit about myself so you know where I'm coming from.
Gotta be quick, though.
Sorry, the screen's a little bit freezing or something like that.
Okay. Gotta be quick, though.
I run a channel called A Song for Eternal Story Ministries, and it's just about talking about videos about Jesus and stuff. But anyways, my question was, if somebody is in depression, what would Jesus Christ say to them to help them through that circumstance?
Say it one more time. I want to make sure I heard you correctly.
basically, like, if Jesus was here on earth right now and somebody's in depression, what kind of advice would he give them?
Oh, the same advice that he would give if they're dealing with lust, the same advice that he would give them if they're dealing with anger, the same advice if they're dealing with suicide or murderous thoughts,
Right.
whatever sinful or ungodly thoughts that they might have, including depression. It's the same thing. The same thing that he will say for anyone who may have we talked about this last night, have a demon. Draw closer to him.
And he will draw nigh to you.
The issue that we have on this planet is one issue, guys. One issue only. We make it complicated. It's one issue. Proximity. All your issues, all your sins, all your failures are a result of this one thing. Proximity. How far are you away from it? The further you are away from this object, the less you'll feel the intensity of that object. The closer you get to this object, in this case, God, the Father, Jesus, the closer you get to Jesus, the further you get away from your issues from sin. Because who better to remove any sexual issues, any physical issues than him? And so that's it. Just that simple.
Yeah, I agree totally. And okay, so I'm going to get going now. And thanks for answering my question. I appreciate it, Pastor Corey.
Okay, no problem. You have a good one, brother. Yeah. Hey, brother, how you doing? What's your name?
I'm doing good, Brandon.
Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. What you got on your mind?
I just want to come in here. First off, I want to say shout out to you and Ruslan for getting on having a discussion on this platform. And plus, I want to thank both of y'all because I kind of pretty much learned a lot of lesson on this live stream. I was like, wow, that's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make it short. I remember I first came across Ruslan on the channel, and I was a fan of him. I was at first, and then and later on, I came to find your channel, and then I pretty much started to learn about the whole Marcus Rogers thing, and I was like, oh, really? And then I was trying to look and see what Ruslan's thought on that. At first, and at the time, I wasn't heavy on the scriptures at the time. And I was like, okay, I hear Ruslan and all that stuff, but then I looked at other believers, other brothers on the platform. They gave their thoughts and, being biblical about it. And I was like, oh, man. And then at that point, I was like really conflicted. I was like, should I really unfollow Ruslan or should I hold off before I make that judgment? Before I make that decision. And then one time I was watching Ruslan's video, he mentioned somebody else's name. And I remember seeing you made a video about this person, about one of the deliverance ministries people that we called out. When I heard you say that name, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to unsubscribe from him. But
let me interrupt you for a second. Can I tell you guys why I don't unsubscribe people a lot? There are some I do. There are some that I unsubscribe to. But the reason why I usually don't unsubscribe to a person, first of all, it doesn't cost me anything to have a subscription. It doesn't cost me anything at all, right? So it's not like I'm being really put out. But two, what's my hope of this person? What's my goal from this person? Let's say Joe Bob is a content creator, and I think Joe Bob is doing a horrible job of representing Christ, and I want him to do better. And he's not doing things the way I want him to do it. Now, let's say, because I'm a good Christian, I prayed for Joe Bob to get it right. And there have been some other people who have talked to Joe Bob to get it right. You know what I'll never know if I unsubscribe to him? If Joe Bob got it right. So it's like what I've done is I've dusted my feet. I've kicked the dust off my feet and went away. I hope to never see you again, right? That is not the loving heart. It just isn't.
Okay.
Because when you don't do you, how old are you, by the way? You look like you're about 18. How old are you?
I'm 25.
It's same. You talking about okay? Same thing. It's same thing. But if I decide I'm not going to listen to the person now, if the person is speaking heresy, that's different. Matter of fact, though, some of these heretics, I even subscribe to them. I want to see what this guy's talking about, right? I had, but here's the other thing though. You don't even have to subscribe to a person. If the way YouTube works is, if you go and check out 2 or 3 of their videos, YouTube's just going to keep sending you their videos. Like, listen, I have to push a little thing that says
Right.
not interested, right? So when I did the deal on Alpha Lacal, you know what I get every day? I get like 4 or 5 videos from Alpha Lacal coming. I don't want to hear about this guy, right?
Right.
But
Right.
my prayer is for the believers first who are missing the boat. I want to see this person come around, but I don't want God to treat me the way I treat them. Okay, and so
Okay.
and so,
Yeah.
guess what? I am subscribed even to the people who I don't. Not all the people. Let me just say that now. Again, I do not subscribe to any. I want you to hear this. Any Hebrew Israelite. Nope, can't do it. Cannot do it. I think those guys are the worst. Listen.
Right. Right.
I would rather talk to a Jehovah's Witness than a Hebrew Israelite. I'd rather talk to a Muslim. That's saying a lot than Hebrew Israelite.
Yeah.
Wow, these guys are wacky. Anyway, let me get back on topic. But
Right.
that's just me. That's just me. Now, that's my approach. Is anybody going to say that Corey Minor is doctrinally unsound? Well, if they are, they don't know the scriptures, because I'm going to give them my scriptures. I'm going to give them mine. And so I just walk it differently. And I've been through too much to let that be my issue. Too much. It really is. And so, especially if you're creating content, somebody is going to have an issue with what you said. And at some point in time, they're going to be right. Sometimes people have issue with what you do and create, and they're wrong. You were right and they were wrong. But at some point in time, you're going to be wrong. And then what do you want? You're going to want some grace. You know what? I messed up. Now, some folks are going to want to bury you. Some folks, I did a video where I said that, what was the video? It was about suicide. And I said, suicide is not the unforgivable sin. Oh, you going to hell. You encouraging suicide. Really? Is that what you got from that?
No.
Some folks just want to come, you come into the church looking for what's wrong, right? I don't like the color of the carpet. The music's too loud. The pastor doesn't have the right tie on. Where's his jacket? All right, bye. You came looking for something. So, and then you can do about that. But at some point in time, they're going to be right about you. And what do? So, I would just say, if you guys think that a Ruslan or whoever else is wrong, you pray for them, try to reach out to them. And if you can't, just trust that there's somebody bigger and better and more powerful over this world who's also dealing with him as well. Because if you're right and he's wrong, God knows that as well. And if this person is a believer, then God is working in that person's heart. And it may not happen as quickly as you and I might want it to happen. I would wish that every YouTube creator, every content creator would do the things the way I would want them to do it. Right?
Gotcha.
We all want people to do things the way we want them to do it. And so that means if I'm wrong, then doggone it, the whole body is wrong. So thank God that there's some out there who thinks differently and reacts differently. Let me give you all an example. Folks about talking about my man Seiko. Well, I didn't know how hard he went after G. Craig Lewis. And many folks would not have known about G. Craig Lewis and what's happened to him and how he is had it not been for that. Right? And so who knows what's going to happen with this whole Marcus Rogers stuff. You warned the snake. But then ultimately, guess what, guys? It's never up to us to bring down the heretic, the false prophet. It's never us. All we can do is expose them, and then God does that. And so sometimes we ought to say our piece and keep it moving. Sometimes we keep hitting. Okay, and so here's some people who's going to be the ones going to keep hitting it and keep hitting and keep hitting, whereas I've got another fight to fight, right? So anyway, what else you got from me, young brother?
First of all, thank you for that. That's very humbling from what you said on that point. And then I think about that whole, I guess I would say doing the wrong thing, doing the unsubscribing after finding out about one thing. And I think part of it is rooted to this thing of it's like one of those things, I don't like to be deceived, I don't like to be lied to or something like that. And I'm pretty sure that most of that thing kind of started when at the time before I was like a little bit heavy on the Creflo Dollar thing for a while. And then for some reason I found a video about him. There was like an old clip of him talking about we are little gods. And I was like, wait, huh? But at the time I wasn't in the scriptures like that. But now I looked at the scripture, I was like, so what is he talking about? And then I unsubscribed from this ministry. Didn't want nothing to do with it. And at the time, I was shared a video one time, and I was like, "This man, I don't want to watch this sermon." But I was like, you know what? For respect to this person's enemy, I will watch it and later on get my thoughts about it. And after watching it, I was like, it got to the point. I was like, I'm kind of convinced now that what the people are saying are right.
Which is why there's a need for people to hit and to go after some of these people, right?
Yeah. Everything else, I think that's all I gotta say right now.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Where do you reside? Where do you live?
I live in Phoenix City, Alabama.
In where?
In Phoenix City, Alabama.
Okay. Question. Are you a Cowboys fan?
No.
Okay, I'm about to cut you off.
My mom is.
Your mom is? I ain't gonna say nothing about your mom. Listen, I ain't gonna talk about your mama right now. When I get off this live, I'm talking about your mom. No, I'm kidding. Okay. All right, young brother. Listen, you take care down there, all right?
All right, thank you. And you too.
All right. So listen, doggone it, I'm looking for some action. I want you guys that disagree with me to come on this thing. I want some guys to come on this thing and holler at me. Matter of fact, if you're not upset with me, and you agree with me, you still welcome to come on. We can have a conversation. I got a few more minutes. So anybody, the doors of the YouTube church are open. So anybody, moderators, if you want to come on. Bottom line, Dad, you can't come on. You a football heretic. No, you're not. No, well, actually, what you are is you are the Cowboy enabler. Yeah, you're a Giants fan, and y'all can't do nothing with the Cowboys. So, but anyway, anybody, before I go ahead and let this thing go, but I want you guys, let me just back up. I want you guys to hear my heart. In no way, shape, form, or fashion do I think we should ever give a heretic a pass. But at the same time, I just don't attack the person who is not as strong against the heretic as I am. As long as the person themselves are not in heresy, then okay. Will I do a video on G? No, I will not. I absolutely will not do a video. I'll tell you what I'll do. You know what I'll do? I may post some of Seiko Wood's videos on G. Craig Lewis. That's how I found out about him. Like, who is this dude, G. Craig? Poor G. Craig Lewis. Who is this guy? But so oh man. Yeah, guys, he ain't a heretic. He's a friend in the Lord. I just sent him a link, and it's gonna be some trouble on this live. It's gonna be some trouble on this live, and so we'll see what he's talking about, if he's talking about the right thing. He might come on talking about the wrong thing. So I said, hold up, let's put this back up. I disagree with you about unsubscribing, because by subscribing or continuing to support them, well, and I'm fine with that also. I am not. I don't. Let's say if I feel the same. Let's say if I feel a certain way about a content creator who is not a heretic, but he hasn't unendorsed the heretic. He hasn't come out against the heretic like I want him to. I'm not against him at all. I wish he would come around. Okay, Montana Viking. Send me an email so I can send you the link. Send me an email so I can send you the link. I'm not against that person. And some of these guys pay their bills from YouTube. Don't have a problem with that either. Matter of fact, you can't have a problem with that. If you got a problem with someone making earning something from YouTube, you would not have YouTube if the person didn't get something from YouTube. It's just how it works, right? It is. So anyway, here come trouble. If he ain't talking about the Cowboys, then we're gonna be all right. Jermaine, what's going on, brother?
Hey, brother, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Oh, you froze. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Listen, man, you already know where I'm coming from.
Where you coming from?
I got a problem with you, bro.
Okay.
You already know. Listen, we both in Dallas, right? So, my biggest gripe with you is that you live here, but you don't root for the home team.
I'm on sovereign territory right here where we don't claim Dallas at all over here in this little plot of land. No, we don't claim Dallas.
The only thing y'all beat us in this year is draft pick position. That's it.
We lost that
You
too.
get a better draft pick because you didn't even make the playoffs.
Oh, and you know what? I shouldn't say anything too because Oklahoma beat Texas Tech last night.
That's right. Boomer sooner, horns down all day. No, seriously, y'all. I'm Jermaine, one half of that Christian Fam channel. I love this brother's ministry, man. You know, we've been chopping it up for a minute. The reason why I chose to jump on real quick before we go ahead and eat dinner, is because me, Harrison family, values. He changed his name from vlogs to values.
The values.
We talked about that. Me and him were texting back and forth. Like, bro, you need to change the channel name because vlogs doesn't really serve you. But me and Dre from Harrison Family Values and Von Sanders Ministries and All God Everything, we were talking about how one of the disappointments with being a Christian content creator is that we see so much discord in the chats and in the comment section. And so one of the things I'm really seeing tonight is a lot of discord and a lot of ungodliness. And that's been one of the very disappointing things, with being a Christian content creator. So I just really want to pop on and encourage, those of us who are actually in the chat, let us not forget to be Christian. All right. Because oftentimes we get so polarized one direction or the other that we forget all the Christian fundamentals and all the principles of Jesus when we get in these chats. And I love what you said earlier, Corey. You said, it seems like we're held accountable as content creators, but y'all not held accountable in the chat. So if we're going to be Christian, let us be Christian wherever we go and not just pick and choose and not take shots at people who are in front of the camera when y'all just in the chat. So that's all I had to say, bro.
Yeah, one of the things when we go when the thing goes live, once this goes back up, your chats are saved. You can delete a comment in the comment section if it's yours, but you can't delete a comment in the chat section. But even more than that, God is still going to see that. God still knows that. And so whatever you say, did you say it with a godly intent? Even if you are condemning a person for their stance, was the condemnation a godly was it righteous indignation?
Yes.
Okay. Or was it, I just don't like the guy I don't get down with him. I think the guy's a snitch. Now, if you're impugning someone's motives and you don't know their motives, well, then you shouldn't do that either. Okay. Now,
for sure.
And again, guys, I ain't got no problem with swinging, and I don't have a problem with being, biting and toughing, being tough.
No,
but
you know me, man. You already know my motto, bro.
Yeah, man. Listen, I saw a bunch of unnecessary fights in prison. Just like, because it's like, what are we doing, guys? And I see the same thing sometimes when it comes with us.
It happens out here.
Yeah. And so if I'm going to fight, I'm going to make doggone sure that I'm 100% right about the fight before I jump into it. That's just me. That's just me. So
yeah. For one, it's going to be worth it. And two, I'm going to win. That's what I'm going to win. No, for real. No, just growing up, my parents, my daddy, especially.
Hold on. I'm not gonna put this super chat up here.
Oh no, what he say?
Oh, he getting on the Cowboys. He a Niner fan.
You know what? Y'all didn't get to the Super Bowl neither, brother.
They did get closer though. They did beat y'all.
See, that's that dissension within the body I'm talking about right there. I'm saying y'all didn't get to the Super Bowl neither. That's all. That's what I'm talking about. Just nasty for no reason. Just nasty.
Oh, wait a second. Okay. Wait a second. I got a bunch of folks trying to. I'm sorry, guys. I missed the camera. Hold it here. Let me drop these links so these guys can come on. Let's see. Now remember, guys, if you come on, be on your best behavior. Let me go ahead and send these links out. Apparently, I'm gonna be here for a while.
Yeah, man. So, anyways, man, I just want to mess with you about that.
Man,
brother.
Listen, you always welcome. You always welcome.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, you're doing a yokeman's work in the ministry, man. And as you know, as always, bro, keep pushing in the faith, cuz.
Okay, let me send. All right, my friend, let me go ahead and get you off so I can get these other guys on.
Man.
All right, Jermaine, take care, bro. All right, I just sent out. Okay, I'm sending out 5. Wait a second, where's it at? Okay, hold on. While I'm waiting for someone to come on, let me send this. I think I'm sending this to one of my moderators. I think that's what I'm doing. Let's see. I think I sent one guy the link twice. Oh well, no problems. All right, guys. Once you get hit the link and Come on. How do we handle receiving a compliment? As if you didn't. That's how I do it. So it won't go to your head. Okay, let's see who we got here. All right, my brother, how can I help you?
Yeah, what's going on, Corey?
Oh, it's going on pretty good. How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. I sent you a message before when you was on live before about this whole situation. Now, I mean, of course, this situation that you was talking about tonight with that you mentioned a couple times with Seiko and everything like that, and with Ruslan on there. Now I feel like I understand that a lot of people like to say, hey, we're not supposed to be soft with other people. We're supposed to use this and that and this and that. And when we're talking to somebody or telling them how they're wrong or trying to correct them. Now, the funny thing about that is, I think all of us get that wrong at times, with even me too. I believe that a lot of us get it mixed up where we forget that we're not God. And the way God did things in the Bible is different. Just because we see him doing certain things doesn't mean, like how he handled people is what I mean. He also tells us in 2 Timothy 2:24, like, you can, of course, and I got a video on my channel, Time to Save Souls, that I break it down a little bit more. But it says, how we should gently on verse 25, it says how we should gently instruct those who oppose the truth. That means when it's opposed, that means people who's against the truth. Gently, it says so that that God will change their hearts and they will learn the truth. So I feel like going after the way, even with Seiko, even the way he talks to people. And I mean, if we got to get technical and say, hey, well, guess what? Marcus Rogers is wrong by saying, you need to be baptized in water in order to be saved, which that's just an error, in my opinion. I mean,
so
other people.
your issue is if I'm understanding you, your issue is Seiko.
Not just that, but yeah. I mean, I do believe the way he talked to people and called people names now. I don't think that's I don't think a leader. I don't think that you should be qualified as a leader, period, if you are doing these things, as in bullying people and talking with a foul mouth. And not only that, but playing clips in your live streams that has profanity in them. I don't think a leader should be doing that. I don't think you should be qualified as a leader if you do anything like that. Because the same people that you talk about, Justin Peters and all of them, none of them do things like that. None of them talk. So you can see, what I'm saying is, you can see people by their fruits. And I'm pretty sure everybody's seen Seiko by his fruits, even you. He's in your circle. So I don't expect you to call him out publicly. Of course, like you said, you talk to him behind closed doors, whatever, privately. But I don't expect you to call him out publicly. Neither Montana Viking or nothing like that, which I already know Montana Viking is not really good on scripture anyway. He admitted it himself.
You said Montana's not good on scripture?
What I'm saying is knowing scripture, like maybe somebody that's studied for a long time. I'm saying, and he admitted it, himself on his live stream when I talked to him before. So, but he tries to.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, what I was going to say is, he tries to, as well as other people, try to say, hey, we're supposed to be hard on people, and you can be, there's times that you can show love, and you're still showing love. And guess what? God did this. And guess what? Apostle Paul did this. But we're not none of them. We can only follow the scripture when God tells us to do it gently to the people who oppose the truth. So that means people that's against the truth, right? Am I right? That means people that's against the truth, right? That's what oppose the truth means.
Okay. When you there again, and this is why I said, let me just say this. And I'm gonna go ahead and move you on, because I got to get to these other guys. There's literally 4 guys in this queue right now, so I got to go ahead and move to them or whatever. But I'm gonna go ahead and address what you just said. But here's the thing: I think that anybody, be it myself or Seiko or Alan Parr, Ruslan, or I see Ed, anyone, when we say things, If we're going to say it in a harsh fashion, the motive has to be love behind it. That goes for Seiko, that goes for me, whomever, right? And so now I'm not going to share everything that I've said to him, but I've told you guys this, that I'm going to move back and watch. And I've said that we got to be careful about how we treat not just the heretic, but the person who we think is coddling the heretic. Because first of all, they all matter. But the person who is a professed believer, the Christian, he matters also. And so we need to be sure that we don't treat the unbeliever like the believer like he's an unbeliever. Okay, so if that kind of makes sense. Now I need to go ahead and what happened to your screen, Cody? Listen, guys. Dun 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 dun. What's going on, brother? Can you hear me? All right, now I need to say I can hear you. Okay, what's happening,
up, man? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. And I got Doug in the queue. Let me bring Ryan on in the green room as well. But go ahead, Cody.
I just wanted to quickly ask you, like, what was your overall goal with today's video with Ruslan? And do you think that you reached that goal? That's all I was going to ask.
I hope that that's a good question. I hope that I reached that goal with some, not all. Whenever, okay, let's say you were telling me something, I was wrong, didn't see it, and you corrected me. Okay. What's likely to happen is immediately I'm not going to get it. Okay. But as I hear it, and I might be the person that's planting and someone may water. Hopefully if you're right and I'm in the wrong, then eventually it's going to come to me. If I've got the Spirit of the Lord in me and what you gave me was from the word. Now I gave the word, right? I didn't read the Quran. I didn't read one of the Vedas. I didn't read my own publication. I read the scriptures. And so these apply to us. And so while there's one part that we do have to hit people where they need to be hit, there's another part we need to be loving as well. And we need to be careful of our motives. And so my whole point is to say, guys, watch out how we talk to each other. Watch out how we treat each other, because this person is wrong right now don't mean that you won't be wrong later. And how you treat him, you're not going to like being treated that way when you're just as wrong. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. No ifs, ands, buts about it. And so if I want some gentleness in correcting me, and I don't want you to correct me and say, man, you dirty so-and-so and so-and-so. You should, no, I'm not, because I'm not going to hear that. I'm not, if I say, Cody, man, listen, first of all, that orange shirt, you got to go with that, man. What's wrong? What's the first thing you're going to do? You put up your defenses. It's just natural. It's just normal, right? And so what I want, here's what has to happen. Whenever we speak to somebody, whoever we speak to, they ought to see the maturity in us and the godliness and the love in us. What did Paul say? If I got all these different things and I don't have love, I'm no good. I'm worthless, right? I'm a lousy, loud, clanging gong. And so there has to be some sort of love that comes through this, even in my rebuke. Mama used to say, not daddy, but he didn't say this. Mama would say, I'm not going to like what I'm about to do. It's going to hurt me more. It's going to hurt you. And dad like, no, I'm about to wear your butt out. However you take it, but I'm about to get off my chest. But mama would say, it's going to hurt me more than hurt you, because there was some love. There was love with my daddy too, but there's some love in my rebuke. And people ought to see that. Now, there comes a point in time where you say, you know what? The love for you is gone, where now I've got to give you, I've got to be used by God as the battering ram. That happens. But I can't turn that battering ram against my brothers who don't act in accord the way I want them to, or the way they should. Because I never want to be guilty of treating the brother like he's an unbeliever. I can be stern with him. I can do that. Okay. And so the goal that I want to have accomplished is that we could just look at ourselves and think, would I treat my family members the same way that I want to treat Ruslan or Alan Parr or anyone else? And the answer is 99% of the time is going to be no. And even with the folks who say yes, once they think about it, it'll be no again, because I don't want to treat my wife that way, who doesn't see things eye to eye with me, who don't handle things the way because most men, if you're married, the wife doesn't handle the kids the way you do. It's just how it is. And so because we have a different tact, a different method, I'm not going against the person who's a part of my family. That's my whole goal. That's my whole goal. That doesn't mean that we're not, because guess what? We calling out the snakes. We calling out the heretics. And we're going to defend doctrine. We're going to be straight on that. No ifs, ands, buts about it. But sometimes we ain't got to get messy like other folks do. We should whoop tail differently than the world does, right? We should do it in a godly fashion. I'm going to beat you up, but not because I want to beat you. Right. I want to beat you into correction. So, now, hold on. Right. I got to get my brother real quick. He said, "Is Ruslan coming on?" No, he ain't coming on, Gary. No, he ain't coming on. Somebody in the comments in the chat, tell Gary why Ruslan's not coming on. Anyway, let me go ahead. Did I see? I got Doug. Let me go ahead and put you back out there. Did you have anything else, Cody?
No, I just want to make sure, and I know we had our disagreement too. So I just want to make sure we're good, man.
Are you talking about the Bible?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I've got something for you. I haven't got. Listen, if I go back to this screen over here, what does it say? I've got 301 messages, messages that I got to get through, and these are questions. So I'm not. It takes me a while, and I'll get to them. I promise you. But and yours is at the front. So when you certain folks ask a question, have an issue, you at the top of you go to the front of the line. So I'm getting back to you.
I'm waiting on that video. I'm just curious.
Okay.
We're gonna be all right over though.
Amen. Amen. Let me go and get to Doug. Wait a second. Is that Montana? Doggone it. Doug, I'm sorry. Listen, I think I might have knocked you off. Come back on so I can bring you back in. I got my man here. First of all, that jersey has got to go.
Hey, can you hear me fine? Or?
I can hear you perfectly fine. I can hear you and see you well. Let me put Doug over here. But yeah, I can see you just fine and hear you just fine.
Perfect. So I can say, okay, my computer is fine. Hey, you talked to Ruslan for about an hour, and no threats, no insults. What's going on here?
Well, I didn't have a reason to, guys, and we kind of covered a little bit. I told Ruslan, and I alluded to this, that the reason why if people see you as, let's say, you're not hard hitting or you might be compromised or anything like that or what have you, then hold on, there's some porn site jumping in the chats again. Then the reason is for you, is you're to blame, right? Hold on one second, guys. If y'all see this V-band, whatever it is, y'all block that person. I can't, for some reason, not let me do it. But anyway, what was the question? I'm sorry.
No threats. Threats, no insults for an hour. I was expecting some drama. I think a lot of people were expecting drama. And yet a lot of times it's a lot more beneficial, I think, when there isn't that drama thing and there are rebukes. Because we have to look in the mirror first before we set out to correct others. And so I heard a lot of that in there today for sure. Yeah.
I had talked to Ruslan in the past. As a matter of fact, what's funny, the first person that knew that I was talking to Ruslan was Seiko. And I won't go into with those two, but when I talked to Ruslan, I said, hey, X, Y, and Z. I think this and I think that. And he heard what I was saying and so forth. And so that was that. And so if I've made my concerns to Ruslan off air, wouldn't it be kind of underhanded to bring him on air to talk about the same things we talked about to make a spectacle? That wouldn't be cool, right? If I had a conversation with you and said, hey, listen, I think you're wrong on this, and this, and you say, you know what, I see that, you're right. Then I bring you on there and then I trash you for the same things that we already covered, right? So that wouldn't be good on my part. Now, it's incumbent upon him and the Lord if he needs to change or if he needs to make apparent, because if it's not apparent that you are against this particular stance with this person or this person's stance, that's you. That's on you. It's not my fault that people see you this way. It's not his fault or her fault that people see you this way. It's you, because you're the one that created this narrative about yourself. And so you need to fix that. You need to be more definitive. Maybe you need to be more bold or more hard-hitting or whatever word it is that you want to use. It's up to you to make sure that people know exactly where you stand. That people know exactly where I stand. People know where you stand. And so the same is for him or anyone else. And if we disagree, we disagree. It's okay for him to be a believer and to disagree. One of us is going to be wrong, or both of us is wrong. And so if he's a child of the King, then it's going to be God ultimately that's going to work in him. And so the one thing that I think we get it twisted sometimes is that we think it's up to us to straighten a person out. No, it's up to us to warn a person to be used by God, but ultimately it's going to be God through his spirit that's going to straighten a person out, right? And so that's why I don't get too bent out of shit. And if a person keeps coming back to listen, because if a person has turned you off, I'm not trying to hear what you got to say, well then why would I keep saying it then, right? And so I don't have it like that with him. Other folks might. So that's my, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would say I like Ruslan. I listen to his channel. You know, in the background, I'll throw it up while I'm doing documentation or whatever. And like he cares about people. I get that from him. He cares about small content creators, I think. And yet there's some big things that I disagree with him on. And one of the different perspectives that I think you and I have are, you know, I kind of categorize people into maybe 3 different groups. There's heretics where we're gonna call out, and it's gonna be harsh, it's gonna be staunch, and we're treating them a certain way, if you will. Then there's brothers in Christ who they're true teachers. They're doing great, and you know there's no strained relationship there. But then I also have kind of this third category for people who I think they're brothers, and I'm gonna treat them as a brother and consider them a brother, but I'm not going to recommend their channel. I'm not going to recommend their ministry. They still profess to believe in all of the right things. But I think they're bringing dangerous things into the church, dangerous things, presenting dangerous things to other believers, not making clear distinctions. And so I'm going to sound the alarm on them, and I can't recommend their ministry. I want them to turn from bringing these dangerous things into their channel or whatever, you know. But until something's done there, I can't recommend it. I don't know if that's something you would agree with, or if you have different thought there.
I think, and then I'm gonna need to let you go because I want to get Doug on. Doug, I ended up knocking Doug off inadvertently. I'm sorry, I need to type this in. Someone's asking what time the class starts. But I think this: if our issues are doctrinal, keep hitting them. If you think there's a doctrinal issue, keep hitting. You ain't gotta stop. There's no need to stop on trying to correct doctrine. What we don't have to do is hit hard all the time when it's non-doctrinal. Are you with me? Because especially if I don't know the person's heart. Now, sometimes, like in the case of Marcus Riders, we know that guy's heart. That's clear, right? But let's say I cannot. I can think I know what Ruslan's motives are. I can think I know what Montana Vikings motives are. I can think I know what Seiko's motives are, or Ed's motives are. I can think that. I'm not sure. Now, in Marcus' case, we got evidence. Dude, you got issues. You got issues that if you weren't a Christian, you still have some issues with the general public, right? But the fact that you're a Christian, you even have more issues. And so I don't think if your issues with Ruslan or Joe Bob or me or whoever else, if they're doctrinal, you should ever stop. You don't have to stop. You are required by biblical law to execute what you think is God's mandate. So no one can ever fault you, and I would never fault anyone for that, ever. So if you think a person's wrong doctrinally, call them out until they change. So,
and you know, to say to Ruslan, you know, he's accepted correction at times. I've seen him go and accept correction. I don't know why what his motives are there and everything. But yeah, he's accepted correction several times. And so I try not to be harsh on him all the time, because when he does good things, and there are good things that he does on his channel, I try to point those out. And yet, you know, just the way I'm built, I can see the troubling things, and you know, that tends to be the things a lot of times that.
Let me ask you this question: What if you found out that I don't know if this to be the case. I don't know this to be the case, but what if you found out that the 2 people that are getting the bad names right now, Ruslan and Alan Parr? What if you found out that a lot of people are starting or initiating a deeper relationship with Christ, or to start studying, cause them to pray more because of their channel? What would you want to see their channel continue?
Ooh, you bring up a very good valid point, because there are Alan Parr has a ton of rock solid videos.
Yeah.
And Ruslan, you know, has, you know, is bringing people to study God's word and stuff there. You have some point there. And so, I mean, we could praise that, you know, for sure, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, my brother, I love you. By the way, if you have not subscribed or checked out Montana Vikings channel, go and do so. I've neglected to also mention about That Christian Fam channel. Jermaine, go and check him out as well. So, brother, I'm going to go ahead and let you go so I can bring on my buddy Doug. Okay. Doug, what's going on, my friend? Can you hear me?
Good, Corey. How you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. A little tired,
yeah,
but I'm
I
good.
can see. I guess there's always a lag, it seems like, when it starts out, but fair enough. It's all good.
What's happening?
All right. Well, yeah, I was kind of like going to piggyback off of what Brother Cody said earlier in regards to what the point of tonight's show was, because it didn't seem like we were calling anyone out, and it seemed like we were all embracing each other in a brotherly type of thing, and fair enough. But Ephesians 5:11 kept popping into my head, and I'm like, well, you're supposed to call out these people, and I didn't understand the whole point. It just seemed like a big old group hug to me, and if we're all going to be in the same circle, then what's the point of doctrine?
No, listen, now, you know, doctrine matters to me. Doctrine matters. But before I get to doctrine, I start off with some sort of love. And as I said before, if there's any good that he's doing, I'm not going to knock that, but I'll talk to him about, hey, listen, maybe you ought to this, or maybe you ought to that, maybe you ought to look at things this way. He and I started off, it was something on some social justice stuff, and actually it was over Eric Mason, who I vehemently disagree with. And
I wasn't looking for Jerry Springer or anything like that.
No. But my point is, though, that our relationship started off with me being blocked and you know, not on the best of terms. But my point in pointing that out is that that even in spite of that, that's not an issue. Or I think that the person that you are promoting, I think I think Eric Mason, for the most part, is doctrinally he's solid. Social justice issue wise, I think he's horrible, right? And I think that promoting that does a disservice to the Christian community, but also the Black community as well. And so I can have an issue with him for promoting this guy, but because he's a brother, I still am required to treat him like a brother, and I still have to, you know, I've got to love on him, and I can't. What I cannot do is treat him the way I treat a Marcus Rogers. I just cannot. And I cannot because if especially if somebody is through him, there might be a new Christian who discovers Ruslan's channel and sees him and hears something like, you know what, or someone through, let's say, because he talks about a lot of pop culture stuff, like he was talking about this rapper today, and somebody who might be interested comes in and say, you know, hey, yeah, what's going on with there? And then he gives them some scriptures, and then the guy might start, you know, yeah, let me read my Bible, right? He might think that it's kind of cool. He's appealing, because this is what he told me. I'm trying to, and he mentioned this earlier, that he's trying to appeal to a different audience, whether that's right or wrong. Some of those folks, like the young men earlier, said that he used to listen to him and then started, you know, growing in his studies and so forth, and kind of has gravitated away from him. But Ruslan was used by the Lord for that moment, for that guy. And so if we find out that somebody like Ruslan is being used by God in that fashion, then okay, well, then the Lord is using that way.
That brings us into the main reason. See, I never even heard of Ruslan, but the main reason I wanted to do this, I wanted to cam up with you a few times in regards to the perfect word in a KJV type of thing. But, and like I said, I never heard of Ruslan. And I have heard of you reprove someone twice and then you walk away. And I have heard of, like Ephesians 4, when it tells you to be ye angry. It tells you to be angry.
At who?
And sin not, but don't let the sun go down upon your wrath. So there is wrath, obviously. I mean, there is all kind of, I mean, you can't be docile and tiptoe around people's false doctrines, whether it's NAR or whether it's Jehovah's Witness or Mormons and stuff like that.
Well, see,
you have to hold them accountable, and you do that out of love. You reprove them and you correct them out of love.
Well, but I think
you don't do it out of arrogance.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. I think the issue that we have to always remember, though, is okay, is the person that I'm getting on, is this person a believer or not? Let's say the person is not a believer and they're a heretic, like in Marcus Rogers' case, this person's a heretic. Then
how do you prove that?
Huh?
How do you prove that?
By doctrine.
I mean, you're talking to the guy, and he's obviously maybe part of the Laodicean church and stuff, but how do you prove that he's, I mean, you can't say, and I can't say that anyone's saved or anything, but you can go back and forth with doctrine, and you can say Jesus is come, and that's one of the proofs. If they can't say Jesus is come,
if they don't hold to certain teachings, then we know that this person's not a believer. We can, I think it's reasonably safe to assume by people who understand sound doctrine that Marcus Rogers is not a believer, even though he calls himself one, even though he's starting a church. I think to me, it's reasonably safe to assume that he's not. And so we treat him a certain way.
No, I don't care about him anymore. No, fair enough. I mean, I'll pray for him and stuff like that. Exactly. But yeah, God bless.
But now with someone like a Ruslan, if you think that he's not being tough on him, well, the issue is, where in Scripture do we say that we have to treat the person who's not as staunch on doctrine as we are? Where in Scripture does it say that we have to treat that person like the unbeliever also? It doesn't. It never does.
Well, sorry, I wasn't talking about being staunch on doctrine. I remember asking a few times, and I know the messages or the comments were going probably 100 miles a minute and stuff like that. But what I wanted to ask was, what's his definition of being a Christian? And
who you talking about, Marcus, or are you talking about
no, Ruslan tonight? Yeah.
Oh, what is his? Oh, well, I can't answer that. So
right. Well, I mean, long time listener, first time caller, but and I didn't know what the whole controversy was. I just wanted to.
It's just that sometimes it gets, as we say, it gets messy out here in these YouTube streets, and so I just wanted just for it to be a little reminder, guys, that you can be right, and you can be wrong in being right in the way you're right. You know what I mean? I can say
there's only one truth, brother. You know that.
That's true, but how I deliver the truth. Let's say Doug is wrong.
This is why I wanted the King James debate. This is Okay, come on, work with me on this one.
We're gonna have that debate. We're gonna have that
and
issue.
You don't have to bring in any experts because you're the expert because it's your channel.
Well, no. Listen. There are some people who this is.
You can bring in Judas White if you want. I don't have any problems with him. Judas White. I mean James White.
There's one person who I'm trying to get, who is, I don't care who you are on this planet. I don't care who you are, and he's in this city.
Right. Okay.
This guy, you're not going to refute him.
Well, you better love me because I'm your brother.
Huh? Say it again.
I said, well, you better care because you better love me because I'm your brother, man.
Well, no, what I'm saying is this guy is his understanding of Greek and the text that we have.
Right.
You're just not going to find people on this planet. You might find 3 or 4 people on the planet who are his equal when it comes to the text, but none above.
I've heard that before.
That's all right.
I'll go into that head first.
I don't want to say it. No, it's not. It's not Tony Evans. I don't want to say his name because I may not get him. Because I may not get him. I'm trying to get him, and so he can lay it out better than I can. He's come on people's channels before, not a lot. Guy's very busy, and so
was he on Dear Woke Christian the other day?
No. Matter of fact, I don't think I haven't seen him on a YouTube channel in probably over a year. So he's due.
Oh, no, either way, that's all good. No,
it's not. Yep. Somebody says, is it Bill Mounts? No, although Bill Mounts is great, but this guy is above Bill Mounts. This guy is above Bill Mounts. This guy
know what the definition of a scholar is, right? A scholar is just someone who's engaged in education. It doesn't mean that they're like Socrates from,
this guy, let me tell you this,
1601 or something
let me tell you
like
how
that.
good, let me tell you how awesome this guy is.
Tell me.
This guy, he's the guy that the scholars go to get. I gotta answer for you a second. He's the guy that people go to get these manuscripts, the text, to look at them. He's the guy that he can look at a manuscript that's 1,000 years old and tell you what it says. Right? He can pick it out.
But does it come from the LXX or does it come from the Catholic part of the?
No, listen. He can explain to you. He can explain to you why the Codex Sinaiticus is not Catholic. It just happened to have been, reserved there. But why it's not? It's where it came from originally. He can go over all that stuff.
He can explain it, but he can't prove it. I get that. See, that's where the debate comes into effect.
No, listen.
When I go from Antioch, and the Sinaitic comes from Egypt.
No one. Listen. Again, see, I can't make his case. Again, this guy is no one argues with this guy. They just don't. They might, you know what?
Well,
so
hey, guess what? You found someone.
No, listen. I can promise you this, Doug. If he comes on and he speaks, I promise you, you'll be silent. You're like, okay, you know what? Yeah. Now you'll have questions, and I'll answer those questions.
That's a bold statement, Mr. Corey.
It is.
Statement.
It is. This guy is awesome.
Well, maybe after this debate, we can turn you from being a Calvinist.
I'm not a Calvinist. Yeah, everybody keeps saying
sounds like it.
No, I'm not a Calvinist.
At least a 4 point.
I'm not a Calvinist. No, I just go through the scriptures, and so what I believe, I hope it lines up with the scriptures. And if Calvinists agree with me, then amen to them, right? So, but anyway, here's the answer to your question.
I guess we'll agree to disagree on that one.
Here's the answer to your question.
Bro. What's up?
Ruslan said, a Christian is a born-again follower of Jesus regenerated by the Spirit of God. That's his definition. So there we go.
A born-again follower of Jesus regeneration what?
Regenerated, a born-again follower of Jesus regenerated by the Spirit of God.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with that because a born-again Christian is someone who believes that Jesus was crucified, died, and was buried according to the scriptures, which means according to the Old Testament prophecy, and then on the third day rose again according to the scriptures, which means according to the Old Testament prophecy. Well, regenerated and all that stuff, that's kind of like New World BS as far as I'm concerned.
So do you think that a Christian has to be born again?
Of course.
Okay. Do you think they have to be regenerated by the Holy Spirit?
I believe that regeneration happens when you believe.
Okay. Well, now he didn't put an order to it, right? And Ruslan is not a Calvinist. And so he didn't put an order. He just says a person is regenerated. He didn't put an order to it, and he didn't give as full of a definition. And so you got to say
that's a generic term, regenerated. That's not in the Bible.
It's not?
Well, not as far as when it comes to being born again, I don't think. It's not in the New King James. It might be in your ESV, bro. Well, and then we circle back around.
Okay, so hold on. Let's see if it's in the Bible. All right, let's go to the scripture. And
let's go to the King James.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll go to the King James. Let me pull it up on a parallel. Go to the King James. All right. Let me make that bigger. And so now we see the word regeneration there in the ESV and the King James. Let's read the King James. Not by works of righteousness, which we have done, but according to his mercy, he saved us by the washing of regeneration and renewing of the Holy Spirit. So in this case, Doug, regeneration is in the Bible. Yeah. The actual word is there.
Okay, no, I stand corrected. So that's fine.
So we can agree whether a person's Calvinist, Reformed, whether they're not, that Ruslan's definition of a Christian fits, right?
Oh, I say whosoever is justified. Yes.
Okay. Well, again, he didn't.
I say they're saved. I'm not saying they're living a Christian lifestyle, but I do say whosoever, and I do say saved, which is anti-Calvinist. And I'm not talking about Ruslan now. Like I said, I don't know anything about Ruslan.
Well, didn't you say you asked what was his definition of a Christian, right?
I did ask him if he could give us his definition of a Christian.
Okay.
And I don't remember him saying anything during the live for the last 2 hours?
No, we didn't cover that. Matter of fact, we didn't. The comments were moving so fast. One day, I'd like to. You know what? I'm gonna get another camera from this angle so you guys can see the comments and how they move here. And it's hard to catch up with this stuff. So anyway, Doug, everyone says you look like you're writing a book. You're the kind of person that when someone younger talks to them, they're going to feel like they're in trouble, like they're about to get it. So, but my brother, I appreciate
it's all good, mate. No,
yes, it's all good, brother. So, but anyway, I appreciate you. Love you to death. We'll talk to you again later. All right, my brother.
I'm looking forward, mate.
Okay.
KJV.
We're gonna do it.
All right. Cheers.
All right, guys. GK, I need to reach out to GK Bill for the debate. I don't know who GK Bill is. I have no idea who GK Bill is. So, anyway. Okay, Ruslan's at his I think you said, what you say, your nephew or someone or your someone nephew, I think you said had a birthday party today, so that's why he had to leave early. So anyway, guys, no one else has sent the link. Sent wanting to come on. So man, I enjoyed this. I really did. Been on here did not mean to be on here this long, but I hope you all understood my point. Even if we disagree, still love you, still brothers. Whether you are Calvinist, Arminian, doesn't matter whether you are dispensational. There's different types of dispensational. By the way, guys, I think some of you guys just think that there are just two types because YouTube just speaks about Calvinists and non-Calvinists. There are more than Calvinists and Arminian or Calvinists and Provisionists and so forth. And so there's a huge world out there. There really is. And what you're going to find out, guys, that a large majority of believers can almost rock with a lot of what Calvinists believe, though they're not Calvinists, and they will even have debates against Calvinists, against Calvinism. So I don't want to get into that, but somebody might know who I'm talking. Let me just go on and say it. Yeah. The guy I'm talking about, guys, is Daniel Wallace. That's who I'm trying to get. Daniel Wallace he's just up there. He just is. And so you're not going to have a lot of folks that are going to be able to refute him intelligently. You're just not. So, it's getting late. I got a bunch of stuff I have to get to. So anyway, guys, I thank you all so much. This has really, really been fun. And so I will see you all tomorrow. God bless you all. I also will see you all. Let me say this as well. As far as the class on Saturday, if you want to be a part of the Zoom link, send me an email so I can put you on. He is. Textual criticism at its finest. And he didn't have a theological axe to grind. He goes where the scriptures take him. And you're going to find out that he is, we share a lot in agreement. And it's not because he eisegetes a text. So anyway, let me get off Daniel Watts. Can you all tell him a fan? But anyway, for the class, it's going to be at 10:30, but send me a link. That way tomorrow, I will send you a message on what's expected and how we're going to do this whole thing. There won't be a lot. So if too many show up the first time, then because it's going to be the very first time, I don't want to have it to be a big mess. And so what we'll do is we'll have a limited number of people the first time, and then the second time, we'll have more. So anyway, so if you want to be part of the class, 10:30 Central Standard Time, my time, send me an email and I will send you the link to get you, or I can get you on. Okay, yes, 10:30 Central. Okay, so guys, have a good evening. God bless. Stay safe.